Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. Pull up a chair. It's time to get down to the business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. Glad to be back here with you all again. And definitely, we are going to be having a program here tonight you're going to want to see, because I have invited on no less than 1, 2, 3 ladies. Probably going to have another one before it's over here. And as the program suggests here, it's a good thing for us to discuss, because they're coming out in the world. They have all kinds of hopes and dreams and aspirations, and we're here to either fulfill them or dash them. I guess we'll see how things go. But we're going to get their side about this. So first of all, we have Mia. Am I saying it correctly? Maya. Amaya. Welcome. And how old are you?
18.
All right. We have Ash. And how old are you?
Hi, I'm 23.
All right. And we have big time Bexy. And how old are you? Okay, I'm messing with her microphone there. Make sure you unmute yourself.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I'm 25.
Okay, she's 25. Obviously, as you all can tell, she is calling us from London. And so we got a worldwide thing going on here, which is good, because in reality, the circumstances are not radically different there. So that's important. So, ladies, the reason why you're being brought on here is because we're asking questions about what is being realistic. Now, each of you all basically represent Generation Z, and we have questions about that in particular, about going forward, what your expectations are. I want to ask all of you a basic question. It's currently the year 2020, and I want to start with Bexy over there in London. Where do you see yourself being in 7 years?
In 7 years, I see myself married with a couple of children. I don't see myself in the UK, and I just see myself expanding the businesses that I have and everything that I have going on at the moment, just continuing to grow and having a family.
All right, Ash, where do you see yourself being in 7 years?
7 years? Alive, probably. I never usually look that far ahead, but 7 years, almost a decade. I think successfully have a name for myself in my career and work with some of the clients I want to work with that are higher end, are more established. Like, I love to work with people that are already established in their career, brand wise. And yeah, hopefully knowing more than 2 languages or 1 language.
And Amaya.
Amaya.
I keep messing up. And where do you see yourself being in 7 years?
In 7 years, I should be traveling the world as a travel nurse. I don't really have a desire for a man, really, like later on in like 7 years, maybe a little bit later than that.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked that is because that's an important question. And it's an important question because, as you all stated there, a lot of you don't think about what's going to happen in 7 years. In your case, you're going to be around 25 years old. And at that point, you're going to be either hitting your stride, and a lot of the trajectory of life is going to be judged at that point. Are you all ready for how expensive it's going to be for you in 7 years? I'm imagining you can tell it's pretty expensive now. So I want to start with Ash. Have you considered, tell us exactly about where you live at, and have you considered how it's going to cost you in 7 years wherever you plan on being? What's that going to cost you?
It's like already raising my blood pressure to think about, but so right now I live in LA, but I'm in New York currently, and I want to move back to New York. And that the cost alone just to live in New York, minus the inflation right now, is already way, way too much. But just to answer your question, I feel as though with how the economy is going, I think most major cities in America, like New York and LA, they're gonna be expensive. So I'm prepared for that, or as prepared as I can be. So yeah.
As prepared as you can be. And about how much money do you think you'll need to be making to be prepared for that?
With the context of inflation, or just like without, just like living now, or in 7 years?
Inflation can be something difficult to quantify. So let's just say basically based on what you're looking at now, hopefully it won't be this high, but I can't tell you it'll be lower. So based on where we're currently at in 7 years, what exactly do you think is going to be enough for you?
I feel New York definitely making 20,000 a month would be the safest. That's like the safest. But obviously more would probably be more stable, but 20,000 a month.
Okay, $20,000 a month. So you want to be making around $250,000 a year.
That's the minimum.
Okay.
But I'm being realistic too. So
we'll find out about that part here in just a moment.
okay.
Okay, and big time Bexy, in 7 years, how much do you think is going to be enough to deal with your life and where you want to be? About how much money do you think you should be making at that time to be living the way you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it would be for the household around 200,000 if you've got children to think about as well. I know how hard it is and how hard it will be in the future, especially if you have to do it alone. So yeah, kind of the same. I'd say like 200 plus as the household.
Okay. And if you've expressed a desire not to live in London, so if you weren't living there, where would you prefer to be?
I would like to be in Thailand, Bali, somewhere like that.
Okay. And last but not least here, Maya.
The question is how much I need to be making to withhold when I'm 25.
How much do you think you'll need to be living the way you want to be in 7 years? About how much do you think you'll need?
I agree with what the price that they were saying, but with my career, everything will be paid for, like housing and stuff. So
Okay, well, you're talking about a career, but you're going to need a place of your own at some point.
yeah, but that's gonna be like when I'm 22 and
Right.
7
Well,
years.
I'm talking about in 7 years.
Yeah, I'm not in 7 years.
Yes, ma'am. You'll be 25 by then.
Yeah, I'll have the experience that I already need to be a travel nurse. So they're paying for my housing and stuff. So around the same amount they were already saying.
Okay. That's how much you'll be making, but what I'm saying is about how much do you think you'll need to make an income?
About $200,000.
Okay. And where would you prefer to live?
Atlanta.
Okay. Those are pretty healthy amounts right there. Now, the big question here, of course, would be for all of you ladies here, about the time you hit and some of you are in your late 20s now, but by the time you hit your late 20s or 30s, respectively, about how do you want your life to be as far as, are you going to be married at that time? Are you going to have children at that time? Let me start with Ash.
I think because I'm so focused right now, dating is really not something that I'm trying. I feel like love is really subjective, and it's not as stable as pursuing, a career. A career is not gonna emotionally screw with you. I mean, it might, but it's more dependable because it's more what you give it is what you get back.
So
And with a relationship,
you believe that a career is
Yeah.
more dependable than relationships? You think a job or an
Yeah.
employer is more dependable than human beings?
I mean, human beings are behind the employing, right? So I do, in a sense, think that yes, yes, I think most, and love is something that you can't really quantify, and you can't just go in a line for unemployment for love. So you know what I mean? So I think that in that case, I don't know if I'm thinking about marriage right now. So
Okay. Well,
and my generation is very kind of.
considering the fact for most females in America, the average marrying range is around 27 to 28 years old.
Right.
Once you start stretching beyond that, then you have to consider the fact that men are the ones who choose in that regard. So they have to decide whether they want a woman who's in her 30s or whether or not they want a woman who's in her 20s. Because for us, your career doesn't tell us whether or not you're wife material. It certainly makes you good employee material. Absolutely.
So,
But for the men, that doesn't determine whether you're wife material.
got it. So,
So
what
the
would,
older
what would
female,
the qualities be? What would the qualities of a wife to men be? Because I want, not because I want to, but I just want to.
of course you want to know. Of course you want to know. Absolutely, you want to know. That's, and I don't blame you. That's a very good thing to ask there. So if you would turn your eyes toward the screen there, this is my chart of male, female deposits and withdrawals. You all can see very clearly there. Let's get this out of the way right now.
Okay.
As you can see here, the things that make you an asset to a man: youth, you all have that; looks, you all have that; a clean slate. Now that one can be tricky.
Okay.
Attitude, the single biggest issue that we face today, bar none.
Okay.
And coachability, the second biggest issue that we face, bar none. So with that being the case, those are the things that a man, particularly a peak value man, which is, we're going to get that in a moment, but we're talking about your aspirations outside of your job, because if the only thing you want to be is a cog in a wheel, I want to be a nurse, and that's what I want my life to revolve around, well, then the rest of this doesn't matter. But if you don't want that to be the end all and be all of your existence, if you want to have a life outside of that, then these other things do matter. Now, as far as on the side over there with withdrawals, we'll come back to that later, but that's basically the close-up view of what qualifies for that.
I like that they were on like a scroll. That was cool.
Yes, we do our best here. So with that being the case, remember, it's going to be the men who are going to decide that thing for you. So when you get to that point of, okay, my career's together, we're either going to ride out the career for the next 30 years or we're going to have a life outside of that. Those are questions to ask. Bexy, same for you. What are you expecting to have that? Are you expecting to be married at that point, or are you just going to ride out with your career?
No, so mindset kind of shifted this year. I'm more focused on a family, like not now, but prepare for one. And I've noticed that men don't really care as much about career and your money. Obviously, you have a bit of ambition and not just sit around and do nothing. But yeah, for me, at this point in life, that's what I'm moving towards, is a family. So more than a career, that's at the moment, that's what I would put first.
Okay. And Amaya, last but not least with you, exactly where would you like to start that process at? You're a little bit younger than the others, but where would you like to start that at? And there's a reason why this is an important question to establish now.
Start the process of finding a man.
Well, if you plan to start a family.
When do I plan on starting it?
Well, if you do.
Around like 28.
Okay. Around the age of 28. Hello, Mom. All right. Around the age of 28. So that's a good sign there. However, the reason why we ask these things is because it defines what your existence is. This is important because right now in your early 20s, or for those of you in your mid 20s, your job and your career seems to be very, very important. But here's the issue that we have with your generation now. Right now, and everybody talks about the study from Merrill Lynch that said that by the year 2030 or so, 45% of women in America of working age are going to be single, almost half. And that's across the board, single. Do you understand that let me ask you all a question here. Starting with Amaya, how much do you think is the median income for Black women in America? You don't have to be a scientist about it. Just tell me what you think it is.
I'm actually not sure.
Perfectly fine. Ash, about what do you think the median income for Black women in America is?
I would say,
So now, wait. Before you say that,
okay.
let me go back to Amaya. Amaya, I understand you're not sure. Give me a ballpark figure. Just give me your best guess. You're not here to be correct. Just give me your gut. If you don't know for certain, that's fine. Just give me your gut feeling.
A typical Black woman?
Sure. What do you think the average Black woman's income in America is?
Around like 68,000.
Okay. Ash, about what do you think the average Black female's income in America is?
I would say, because there's a lot, women alone are paid way less. So I would say, in Black women, I would say it's probably around 50,000, depending on what kind of job the average pay is lower than it should be, but around that.
All right. And Bex, it's actually not a whole lot different, but go ahead and tell me what you think the average Black woman's income is. Now that the British pound has been destroyed in the last couple months, it's pretty much evened out with the dollar. So, what do you think it is?
For both, I'd probably say about 25 for the average Black woman.
25.
Okay, that's all very good to hear that, because obviously, I've got numbers to deal with that.
Okay.
If you'll turn your eyes toward the screen over here, you'll be able to see what those numbers actually are. Now, this is from the Social Security Administration.
Wow.
So
Okay.
this is not somebody's thoughts or guess. This is from the Social Security Administration. And as you know, part of your income, or in Amaya, in your case, when you start working, part of your income is going to go into Social Security. So this is the data from the Social Security Administration as far as in median income. Now, median is a little bit different from average. For those of you who are not aware, I'm talking to the audience, not necessarily the ladies here, but for those of you who don't know, average income is when you add up everybody and then divide by the number of people. But that can be skewed because you have ultra wealthy people. Median income is if you take the very poorest person in America and the very richest person in America, whoever is standing in the middle, that's the median. And that's a much more accurate barometer and metric of what we would think of as where most people would fall. And as you can see, based on age groups, now you all are in your 20s, with the exception of Maya, who's about to get there, you can see what the average income is for Black women.
That's crazy.
20,000.
20,000?
By the time they get to their 30s, you're looking at 31,000. Peak earning median 38,000. So I wanted to put this in perspective of that, because a lot of people have assumptions about what they're going to meet. This is the reality of what's actually happening. So when you take that into account, now hopefully that evens it out a little bit more about what in the future may happen, because life occurs while we're making plans. All right. If you're going to be doing it by yourselves, let me ask you all a question here. Another question. What percentage of women do you think make more than $250,000 a year?
Like race?
No, women overall. About what percentage do you think do?
5%.
Okay, Maya says 5%. Ash?
Women are, that's already an issue. Like women being underpaid is already an issue. So I'm going to say.
Women are actually not underpaid, but go ahead.
Are we?
I know you all, they're young, y'all. So they're still struggling
But you
with
just showed a graph. You just
that
showed
wealth gap. But there's a reason for that. They're still struggling with that wealth gap myth.
Sometimes
But that's
harder
okay.
for women.
Don't worry. I'll explain everything to you. That's what you
Question.
Jojo Dancer, your life is calling. Ash, about what percentage of women overall do you think make more than $250,000 a year?
Pushing like 8, and that's generous. Like
Okay.
8%.
All right. And Bex, about what percentage do you think make more than $250,000 a year?
I'm gonna say something like 0.025.
Okay, that's rather precise. You must have Googled it or something, but that's not actually the answer. All right, I did a
No,
program here.
No.
I did a program a few weeks ago here dealing with that. Only about 4% of women are in the top 1% based off of their income alone. No husband, not factoring that in. The other 96% of women who are in the top 1%, and for women, that's going to be over $280,000 a year. That's the women who make over 280. So that's just a little bit over that 250. So to make that mark, to get to 280, you're in the 1%. At 250, you're in the 5%. The very top 5th percentile. That's not the top 20%. You beat out the other 95% of the female population. And if you're making that money on your own, there's only going to be about 4% that are going to make that. Which means you've beaten out the other 96% without a husband. Without any help alone. Now, this is not my conjecture. This is the math.
Can I ask about men, the percentage for men can I ask? May I ask about that?
Sure. For men, it's also going to be about to be in the top 1% of men. That's going to be closer to 340,000.
Okay.
But it starts there. But then again, of course, men occupy more of that. But there's a reason for it. Of course, men take jobs that women don't. Manual labor is not something women are interested in. So there are a lot of jobs where men get well paid at these things that are hazardous. If you've ever worked in oil fields, oil fires, military contractors who get shot at over there and overseas, women generally don't take those jobs. These things pay extremely well, but they're extremely hazardous. So as a group, women are looking for a job that allows them to sit at a desk, sit at a computer, and it's air conditioned. If I take any one of those 3 factors away, do you think you would work for an employer under those circumstances? Let me find it out from the 3 of you. If I told you that we would pay you $250,000 a year, but your job has no air conditioning.
Yes.
Right. Or like I help them hire someone that does HVAC. I don't know. There's a solution to that.
Go ahead, Bex. I'm talking about you, though. I'm not talking about somebody else. That you would be working under conditions where there's no air conditioning, 365 days a year.
People in Europe work with no AC, so I think I can handle it. I feel like I can handle that.
Where do you live again?
I live in New York, but I've been to Europe, and they don't have AC in Paris, and that was fine. So,
okay. In the summertime, what do the temperatures get to in Paris?
It's around like 25 Celsius, something like that.
Okay. I'm from Louisiana. It gets to 105.
Okay.
In New York City, that's not very hard to accomplish either. So here's the bottom line. The deadliest day of the year is the first 88-degree day. You'll learn this, Amaya. The deadliest day of the year is the first 88-degree day. Any doctor will tell you this. The first 88-degree day is the deadliest day of the year because most people grossly underestimate that change in temperature. That's something standard in medical school. So once we start talking 90, 95, now we're getting into life-threatening. Over 100 heat advisories, especially for elderly people, or if you have a medical condition.
They had a heat warning in London, right?
If they have heat warning, we need to have a currency. Bex, if we gave you a job that paid $250,000 a year with no air conditioning in Thailand, not London, which tends to be muggy, but actually is cooler than a lot of other places, would you still take it year round?
I probably would there, but not here.
Okay. Sight unseen. So what I'm saying here is, Amaya, this is a very easy point to say. Now, where do you live at? Virginia Beach, I think it is?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Virginia. Virginia in the summertime is not as humid as the deep South is. But you're telling us that you would be okay working in an average of 95-degree temperatures for stretch? Because you've never, how many of you ladies have ever actually stayed for a full shift in an office building that the air conditioning had gone out in the summertime?
I've never experienced that.
Okay. I used to work construction. We used to have a joke, but it wasn't a joke. When they would give the weather in Shreveport in the summertime, we were working, building the what used to be the Isle of Capri Casino. We had a joke on the job. The temperature outside is 98 degrees, and the temperature of the Isle of Capri Casino is 120 because it was 120 in the building. We hadn't gotten the air conditioning done on the upper floors. We had just gotten the concrete put in to build the floors. So when I tell you you're going to be there for 8 hours under those conditions, it's very easy to say that as an abstract. It's more difficult to say, you will be here for the next 8 to 10 hours under these conditions. Bring some water. As men, welders, pipe fitters, the folks who build these high-rise buildings and hospitals that you'll work in, you're just driving by the construction site. I've worked on them. So women don't take those jobs. They won't touch them. You'll have one female, she might go around and pick up some of the debris, but she's not going to be up in a concrete. I've never worked with a female who was up in those circumstances for 8 or 10 hours. And if the job gets crunched, we have to work more than 10 hours. If there's a deadline on that project that we get paid for, back when I used to do construction, I don't do it anymore. It's been many moons, but it's still the same thing. If there's a deadline on it, now we have to work more hours. So we got to get there at 6 a.m. and we don't get to leave until 6 p.m. Doesn't matter that it's July. Doesn't matter that it's 110 degrees. When they talk about those weather advisories and heat advisories on the news, they're talking to us, the men who work doing the HVAC, doing construction, doing road repair, doing crane operation. Most of those don't have air conditioning in those machines, but they still got to run. Fiber optic. I used to work for the biggest telecommunication companies in this country. We had to work out in the elements. Hospitals depended on us. Police departments depended on us. All these jobs you all want to have, they depended on us. We had to work under those conditions. Women as a group will not work under those conditions.
I have an example. Is it okay to share?
Of course. Karen, share.
Not Karen. No. I'm saying that my dad is an electrical engineer. And so he works in a lot of conditions where it's a hostile environment for him. And so he works with women as well. And those women are in those environments as well. So I do think there are women that do work in there. Are there a lot less than probably you would be saying? Yes. But I think there are women that are willing to do when it push comes to shove and you have to provide. I do think that maternal instinct clicks in and they are going to sacrifice this is a dangerous condition, but I have to bring something to the table income wise, and it may be dangerous, but especially if they're a single mother or something, that think that it's a small percentage, but I think they're there. Also not a Karen, but okay. Yeah.
No. I'm saying thanks, share and care. Thank you for caring, not Karen. Okay. But definitely here to everybody who is listening live here. Thank you to Project Leroy and everybody else who's contributed to support tonight's program here. And by the way, if you like what we're hearing so far, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If you are mortally offended, I'll go ahead and just end the program here early tonight. Although I think this is an important thing to have because this is our future on the screen, by the way. This is it. And somebody needs to talk to them to find out exactly what they're thinking. Now, you talk about HVAC, for example. Does he do commercial?
Oh, me? Sorry.
Yes,
no, he is an electrical engineer. Do you know Caterpillar, right. Like the construction brand?
Right.
Yeah.
I drive by their place there. Now, because there's a difference between doing HVAC in a singular position, a singular place, and doing HVAC, for example, on the top of a building, a grocery store, or whatever. There's a difference between that. So, yeah, if they're working in a controlled environment, he might have some females doing light duty. I've never in my life, and I have HVAC technicians in my family for the last 20, 30 years, never seen a female working on a commercial unit. Don't know a man who's had one. This is not to say what quote unquote can be. I'm pretty sure that we could do like the Chinese military and make all of y'all carry around 30-pound bags of cement. I'm sure we could. That's not the question. The question is, do you want to? Because we certainly got plenty of jobs where we can have all of y'all lugging iron, concrete, working for 12 hours under those conditions. But are those the jobs you want to go for? And females make up half the population. So half of your population is saying right out the gate, I'm not going. It doesn't matter what you pay. So guess what that means? The ones who are willing to do that and take those risks, they pay us more. So they keep telling you about a wage gap. They always, because it doesn't serve their political purposes, leave out, by the way, what jobs are you referring to? Because when it comes to nursing, nobody talks about the fact that it's inundated with females. You don't hear the men talking about a wage gap. But that's because there is no wage gap. Men don't gravitate to that as readily as females do. So guess who gets paid more? But if any of you would like to join us at the construction sites, HVAC, welding, military contracting, we would love to have you. Starting with Amaya, we would love to have you over there with us, by the way. Get your body armor. You're going to need it. If you're not used to people shooting at you, we can help you with some dodgeball classes, but that's going to be about as close as we can get. Here's the reason why I bring this up here right now. This is a question that I always ask everybody, and I want to thank you all for being candid about this. This is a question I always ask everybody. I'm glad we have people from around the world to answer this. Let me start with Bexy. Bexy, what kind of car do you drive? And I know about the tubes. I get it. They're like New York on the other side of the world, but do you own a car?
No, I don't drive.
Okay, she's one of those people over there who doesn't do that. So she's on the subway. Amaya, do you own a car?
No.
Ash, do you?
Yes.
What kind?
Audi.
Which model?
S5.
Okay, somebody's doing pile drivers. All right, you got an S5. Okay, I think we talked about that before. What year was that?
2020.
Okay, 2020.
Yeah.
All right.
No, 2019. Pretty sure it's 2019.
Okay, 2019.
Yeah.
All right. In 7 years, what car do you want to be driving?
An Aston Martin DB11.
All right, Aston Martin DB11. She's shooting for the stars, y'all. All right, Amaya, what car would you like to be driving in 7 years?
A BMW.
Which one?
Sport. That's all I don't really.
Let's see. Do you want a passenger car or an SUV?
A passenger car.
Okay. I'm going to put you in a BMW 5 Series. I'm not going to put you in a 7. I'm not going to put you in a 3, even though it's smaller. We're going to assume you're a little more sophisticated. So we'll just strike a median. I'll put you in a BMW 5 Series. I know everybody's probably going to scream, she needs a BMW 3. I'm going to put her in a 5, though. So you're welcome. Bexy, on your way to Thailand, what are we going to be driving in 7 years?
I'm not really too fussed about cars, like
Okay.
a nice one, but I don't know, I'm more into like horses, so I'd want a nice horse.
Yay.
You think that's important? Okay, she's gonna be horseback riding through Thailand. Let me tell you, fellas, this is the easiest date you're ever gonna have. It doesn't get any simpler than this. But there's a reason why I'm asking these questions, ladies, because believe it or not, this actually is a bellwether question that I ask because this tells us the trajectory of your life moving forward and what will happen. Let me start with Ash first. Now, Ash, you're gonna be driving an Aston Martin DB11.
That's the goal.
I hope you get it. I'm right there with you. What kind of man you gonna be with now that when he walks up and sees that you are pushing an Aston Martin DB11?
What kind of man? So he's not with me. So we're like,
no, he's not with you right now. When he walks up on you in 7 years
okay,
and sees that, because the guy you're with now, or if you're with somebody now, can't guarantee that will be. I certainly hope you all are on your way to Camelot. But just in case that doesn't happen, you meet a dude in 7 years. What's it going to be?
I can't speak a lot about how another man's going to perceive me with an Aston Martin, but if I were a guy, pulling from what I know about guys, I'd be like, oh, she's well off by her. Like, she has her own, her own thing. Like, she's secure. She does not need me, but if she wanted me, I'll pull up. So it's that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So just to be sure, you believe that a man is looking for a woman who does not need him.
No. I would say his perception of me would be, oh, she doesn't need me. Clearly, financially, but, you know.
Right, but you're saying that you think that by doing that, it would communicate to a man that he is not a necessity for you.
If just from me, if I were to look at someone, if I were to look at another woman, I saw her driving something that's nice and I know it has reputation behind it, I'd be like, she does not need probably anyone financially because she's well off. So she's independent. You know what I mean? It's not like necessarily a bad thing, but
right. And that's why I keep repeating that sentence. And I think she's finally starting to listen to it when I repeat that sentence. So you're communicating to a man that you don't need him. That non-verbally, just him walking up communicates to him, by the way, I don't need you. So if you're non-verbally clearly communicating that you don't need him, then why would he approach you in the first place when you've got something that very clearly communicates, by the way, I don't need you?
Because maybe he's interested in me as a person, not the car.
But you've communicated but the car communicates your lifestyle.
That's true.
The car doesn't communicate a piece of transportation. Obviously, the car didn't get there by itself, unless you call it. We're assuming that won't happen. But it didn't get there by itself, so it communicates your lifestyle. So if you're living a life that says, by the way, a man is optional.
Right.
Now, if he has a choice between a female whose approach with the way she presents herself is, I need a man, versus a female who is, I'm good by myself.
I think those are two extremes. I think is the goal, are men usually looking at women saying, oh, I want her to need me, like I need her to just be screaming that I like, you know what I mean, like a necessity? Is that attractive if someone is needing you?
Well, you know what, that's a relative thing. However, and I hate it when people say that. I'm only saying that, well, there are some weirdos out there that feel that way.
Okay.
Let me try this a different way.
Okay.
How would you feel about a man who makes it clear that he doesn't need you? Right out of the gap, he's got 5 other females around him. And then, well, I'm just saying that's the way in which a male demonstrates he doesn't need a female. The first thing you said was, my income is what determines whether I need a man. Okay. Well,
no, financially.
Yes. That's your income, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so there's different aspects I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of different things that could be fulfilled, not just the financial. There's emotional. There is other things.
That's great. That's wonderful. And before I go to everybody else, let's just say you have a guy and he has a sterling personality. He walks with the old ladies across the street. He goes to see his mom. He's a card-carrying member of the Kiwanis Club. And he makes $30,000 a year. And he kisses the ground that you walk on. He's handy around the house. He fixes on cars. He's great for plumbing. He is a sterling individual. He would never cheat on you, beat on you, or fleet on you. He makes $30,000 a year as an assistant at Circle K. He loves his job. He doesn't like it. He loves it. He adores what he does for a living. Quiet, Amaya. Quiet. No. Stop snitching. He loves what he does. Amaya knows what I'm talking about. Don't worry, it ain't gonna help you this time either, but go ahead. He loves his job. Now, he has an equal shot of being with you, right? Because now income is not an issue. So you with your Aston Martin DB11, this guy is a good salt of the earth individual, sterling man. He adores you. He loves you. He can't wait to carry the babies around in that multi-kid stroller thing. And he makes $30,000 a year and he loves his job. He's still a candidate to be with you?
I have dated someone that didn't make as much as me.
Did he make
So
$30,000 a year?
he made $25,000 a year.
How long were you two together?
4 years.
How old were you?
I was like 19. Was in college.
Okay, thank you. All right, you were 19. So
Yes.
and what she say? Well, back when I was 19, I had a guy who was. How about today?
Today,
Uh-huh.
would I date a guy that made less than me again?
I didn't say less than you. I put a number on that. All things remaining equal, in 7 years, you meet this guy. Everything else about him is wonderful, and he makes $30,000 a year. But as you said before, well, that's not really important. Finances aren't really important like that.
Yeah. You know what? My
Huh.
morals. Yeah,
Well.
I really want to. Is it wrong for me to be like, yes, I actually would, because of everything else that you've put, that there's other things he's fulfilling in the relationship. He's bringing other things other than finances. He's lacking finances, but he's bringing a lot of things that nourishes a relationship long term that can't really be monetized or you can't buy. Yeah. But that's maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But for right now, I don't know, 7 years, but right now, me being me right now, yes, I would. It's a hard ask because I've experienced it before, but without the other traits and other positive things that you said, the other guy carries with the $30,000 a year. So.
Okay. Well, fellas, just be aware.
No, don't.
She's 20. He's 23 years old. She's young, single, and ready to mingle. And all you fellas working at Quick Trip,
Oh no.
and Burger King and Five Guys, if you have a sterling personality, she is wide open. By the way, your income's, she drives a S5.
Not wide open.
Fellas, she's got an S5 that you can drive to work. So, and she's not going to think any less of you. So I'm very glad we got that part out of the way. Some women are real finicky and persnickety about that. But fortunately for us, Ash says, hey, fellas, no finance, you got a chance. So,
Not no finance. There has to be some level of, like, come on. Not I'm unemployed, but have your own stuff.
He's not unemployed. He makes $30,000 a year. And you said, you know what? I can make it work. In 7 years from now, when
Does he have goals? Does he have goals like he's?
Oh no! Here we go with this. Well, I'll take him at 30,000 so long as he's on his way to
No. I'm just asking.
30,000.
I'm just asking.
No, ma'am. Remember, he loves his job.
Okay. Got it.
Yes,
okay.
He loves what he does. He loves it. So he gets plenty of emotional satisfaction. He doesn't need a raise.
Okay, then yeah, I can't argue with the emotional satisfaction. A lot of people don't have that in their job. So
okay, so but you're saying that would not be an impediment to him being with you?
No, I can't financially discriminate like that. That's kind of.
She can't financially discriminate. Oh, you know what? Thank you very much for that. Amaya. Take 2.
Yes.
Amaya, when you become a travel nurse and you are making your way across the highways and byways of America, and a gentleman wishes to get your attention here, he is a fine, upstanding citizen. He works at one of the hospitals you went to. He works in housekeeping, making $27,000 a year. He is wonderful. He loves his mom. He pets squirrels. He buys roses. He kisses the ground that Amaya walks on. And he makes $27,000 a year, but he loves his job working in housekeeping, or do they call it environmental services, at the hospital. Would this guy be a candidate to be with you?
Absolutely. If he checks off every other box except for financial, and I know that I'm financially stable, I don't see what the problem is.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, Ash, what type of what type of house would you like to have in 7 years? Like what neighborhood?
Oh, what neighborhood? That's so specific. I don't really.
But just give an idea of what you want.
I think I would like to own an apartment actually in like a high rise. I like high rises.
Okay, that's not cheap.
Yeah, I know.
You figure that's depending on where it is. You figure
Yeah,
that you're
depending.
talking about New York City.
Right, I know.
Okay, ma'am. No, that's going to be. I did a program about this already, so that's going to be anywhere from 6,000 to 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just put you in a nice part of New York City, and let me be very, very generous and say you're only going to be paying $7,000 a month.
Okay, and I own it, right?
Okay, now if you're going to be buying one, now we could be talking a couple million. If you're going to be buying something in a high rise in New York City in 7 years from now, it's already outrageously priced. In 7 years from now, I'll be nice to you, though, and say that the prices are frozen. We'll just say you can have it for $1 million.
Okay, that is generous. Okay.
Okay. How much income do you need the man that you're married to make if y'all are living in $1 million high rise apartment?
Do I need him to make if I'm living there by myself, or if we're moving?
No, you're together. You're a couple. You're married.
Oh, obviously he would need to be making upwards of 400,000 to match what we need to pay for.
No, because he makes $30,000 a year though.
So we're still with the narrative of me being with the guy.
I'm just introducing that there is just to let you know. By the way, you have a monthly mortgage of about $7,000 to $8,000 a month. How much of that do you want him to pay?
Do I want him to pay? I would say he's keeping his job. He's happy. Clearly, he can't be, expected to pay as much as I can. So the percentage, I guess, would be I would have to pay more, I'm guessing, because.
Okay, how much of that $8,000 mortgage a month do you want him to have to pay?
He's making 30,000, so like 2,000 at least, pushing for the mortgage.
Okay, so basically, you want him to pay every penny he can.
No.
Ma'am,
I mean, no.
$2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. He makes $30,000, even if he's untaxed.
Yeah.
You're literally taking every spare penny he's got.
Look, if we agree to live there, sometimes there's got to be a give and take, no?
Well, yeah, right now you're working on the take part. Yes, you're working on the take part right now. You're basically saying, oh, well, if makes 30,000, he can just drop it all here. She's squeezing him like a sponge.
No. If he's willing to move somewhere and he knows you're obligated to pay because where we're moving to consensually, we both said we want to move there. It would make sense for you to, as much as you can, pay to be somewhere like that. If you're agreeing to live there with me.
Bexy, about how much is your place going to cost in 7 years?
I'm not too sure,
Give us a ballpark figure here. You got to have something in mind, otherwise you won't get there. So I'm assuming you don't want to live under a bridge.
No. So if I'd say depends where. If I'm still somewhere like over this side or America, then I don't know, like 2,000 a month.
Okay, $2,000 a month. Just so y'all will be aware here, I've already done a program about this. The average rent in Manhattan now is over $4,000, between $4,000 and $5,000, and that's just in Manhattan. The national average is heading towards 2,000 is the national average now. It fluctuates, but right now it's around $2,000 a month already. So how much would you want the man you're with to be making? Or would you be okay just paying that whole thing yourself? Because your fellow works at Petco.
I mean,
he makes $31,000 a year. He makes $31,000 a year as a cashier at Petco. He adores his job working with the puppies and the snakes.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So of your $2,000 monthly rent, which is modest in America, but your $2,000 monthly rent, how much is he going to pay?
I mean, I don't really think I would pursue a man like that that's comfortable to stay where he is the rest of his life. But if I was,
So you're saying that you wouldn't be with Mr. 31,000 a year?
no. And it's because of
It's because
his
that hair
ambition
tint ain't
and
gonna pay for itself. So she's like, hey, I'm young enough to get it. I'm young enough and fly enough to get it, and this hair tint isn't gonna pay for itself. So you know what? I can respect that.
Yes.
Ma'am, in 7 years, how much will the monthly rent be? Or the mortgage?
Around 2,000, like she said.
Okay, around $2,000 a month. And the man that you're with, how much of that are you going to expect him to be footing?
Realistically, half.
Okay, so you're going to be okay going 50-50.
If I have to. If he
Just say
checks
you have
off
to.
if he checks off everything else, then going half on the rent shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. If the rent is $2,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year.
Yes.
That's almost half of his yearly income, even if he pays no taxes at all, which we know doesn't happen. That's almost half his yearly income.
Yeah.
And you're saying he got to drop it off.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know why a man would want to be with someone if he knows he's not financially stable enough to withhold with what she wants in her life. So if you know this woman is very materialistic or she likes to live in high-rise apartments, why would you be with her if you know that you can't maintain what she already has?
But you said that his income wasn't really necessary as long as he ticked off all the other boxes. Now you're saying, wait a minute, I can't be happy with him with his income not being that. Why would he approach me if he couldn't maintain it? But he's maintaining you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, socially, everything. The only thing that might be a little lacking is finances, but he's holding it down on everything else.
Yeah, but now we living in a box. So like it's really priorities, to be honest.
The reason you can't is because a woman cannot accept a man as her social leader if he's not her financial leader. Because you live in a world that runs on money that will determine the life you're going to live. It will determine the clothes you wear, the car you drive. It will determine all the tangibles. The reason why I wanted to walk you all through this, and it's good for somebody, I know you all have never been asked these questions before, so it's a good idea to ask this. The reason I did was because everything I asked you all about were intangibles, things that you cannot touch. He's got a great personality. How do you measure that? Like, what makes his great and somebody else's good? How much better than somebody else's is his? 10%? 15%? How do you measure how, quote, great a personality is? He loves his mom. Well, that's good, but what his mama expects from him is not the same as what you expect from him. So what makes him a great son isn't necessarily going to make him a great husband. With all things remaining equal, the problem is you'll like him, but because of his lack of productivity, you will not respect him. He's a nice guy, but then again, all you ladies have nice guys that you friend zoned. He's stuck in that box and he ain't ever going to get out because you're like, you have no future. Now, you're all not going to say this bluntly as I did, but can we just keep it real? You've zoomed by him at 1,000 miles an hour because you're like, hey, dude, I've measured you. I don't think you have a future and you're going to be struggling. And I just don't think I want to be sitting there struggling with you. Does that sound about right, Amaya?
Yes.
Does that sound about right, Ash?
So far, sure. I mean, I have certain, but sure.
Okay. Y'all, they're being diplomatic about it, and that's perfect. They're being diplomatic, but they got to be honest because that S5, she's like, okay, I'm paying for the S5. But Ash, are you really going to try to pay for an Aston Martin on your own, or would you rather have a man who's got the bag to take care of that for you? and then he'll take care of that.
He'll take care of the bag and what else? Just the car?
Well, yeah, if you're going to have to get an Aston Martin DB5, would you rather that come out of your pocket, or would you rather have a man take care of that for you?
I mean, it's a whole tax write-off. Clearly coming out of someone else's pocket. Yes, it's an obvious answer, but I think I can handle being able to like financially flip that Aston Martin to where
Right, would you want to have to do so?
No, of course. That's naturally, obviously, no.
Bex, how about you?
Would I prefer for him to pay for it? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, would you prefer for the man to pay for your lifestyle for you?
I mean, yeah, most women, nearly all women would say yeah.
Because you can't come in. Do you all think that you can come into your... Do you all think that your jobs enhance your femininity? Let me start with Bex. Do you think your job helps you become a better woman?
No, I don't think the amount of money that you earn or the job or career that you have enhances your likability to men at all. I think there's other factors that
forget about men.
Show out much more.
Forget about men. Do you think about that it makes you a better woman, that you're more womanly? Like if you do well at your job, your career, that it makes you more womanly.
No, I think sometimes it can push you away from that.
In other words, it can make you more masculine.
Yeah, because you're striving so hard to be the like top provider. You're showing like masculine traits, and feminine women are more like being rather than doing, and you know. So I'd say no.
Ash, do you think that your career, your job, what you do for a living, enhances your femininity? It makes you more womanly, or does it maybe do the opposite?
You know, it's crazy. It's a weird mix of both, because in my industry, women make more, but we're also
not that wage gap. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I have Tourette's.
No.
I have Tourette's. I just blurted it out. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. In my industry, women make more. So yeah, I feel like it doesn't enhance it, but it also like takes away from, it also makes you, I would say it does make you more vulnerable. It makes you more objectified. So I guess no, not really, but yeah.
Okay, Amaya, do you think your job will make you more feminine and more womanly, or do you think it'll make you less so?
I'm not understanding the question.
Do you think that your job makes you more of a woman, more feminine, more womanly?
No.
Okay. Do you think your job makes you more masculine?
No, I don't think that the place of work has anything to do with that.
Okay. Have you ever met any 40-year-old nurses?
Yes.
Okay. Did you consider them to be very feminine, slightly masculine, or very masculine?
Feminine. Slightly feminine.
Slightly feminine. Okay. Think about that for a few moments. So in other words, it's kind of 50-50 between feminine and masculine. You know why that is? Because that's what working does to you. It makes us better men, but it does the opposite for women, because workhorses, they have a saying from the military, there's no high heels in foxholes. All right, the $50,000 question that everybody really wants to find out about here. And we'll take it from Amaya, Ash, Bex. In 10 years, assuming, of course, you want to be with a man and you want to start this family thing, how much money would you prefer that he make? Amaya?
More than me.
Okay, more than me is not a number. No, you try a number.
I don't have a specific number. I just would rather him make more than me.
Well, okay, you don't have to have a specific number. What's a minimum?
Okay, let's just say I make 70,000. He should make like 80,000. I would want him to make more money than me.
You make 70 as long as he's making more than you. Is it 10,000, 10% more than you? He's okay. So he doesn't need to make, if you're making 70, he doesn't have to make 140. He just needs to make more than you.
No, because you got to be realistic.
What do you mean by realistic?
If a man is higher in status, then he's not going to want to be. I feel like if a man is higher in status, then he's not going to want to be with someone that's not making as much money as him either. But he doesn't want, I feel like men feel challenged when a woman is making more, or as she was saying, when a man feels like that a woman doesn't need him. So I feel like it has to be a nice balance.
Okay. You think that a woman's income intimidates men?
Yes.
Why?
Because men have terribly big egos. If they feel challenged by a woman, then I don't know.
Do you think a woman's income matters to men?
Yes.
What type of man do you think a woman's income matters to?
A man with high status.
So you think that a man, for example, who makes $500,000 a year is concerned about how much money his woman makes?
Not okay.
You think a man who makes $200,000 a year is concerned or intimidated by how much money his woman makes?
If his woman makes well over the amount that he's making, then yes, I feel like he would be intimidated.
Okay. Why would a man who makes $200,000 a year be intimidated if his woman makes $300,000 a year?
Because men have big egos.
Right. That's a slogan, but I'm saying, why would that be a problem for him? What would that be an issue for him for?
Because then that woman does not need him.
Okay. Do you think that a man, now I'm glad we came back to this. You think a man's income determines if a woman needs him or not?
His income along with other things.
Right. So if a man understands that his income alone is not the determining factor, then why would he be intimidated? What you're referring to is a man who makes significantly less than the rest of the male population. Now I think that's what you really mean. Mr. $30,000 a year. Well, yeah, he's going to be very intimidated because there is no aspect of the family's financial load that he's actually carrying. He's not leading anything. A man making $200,000 is leading no matter what. A fellow who's making $30,000 isn't leading. So yeah, that guy's going to have an inferiority complex, especially if he's with a female who's making $60,000 or $70,000 a year. Yes, he's going to be very intimidated by that because she's going to have expectations of him, basic expectations, like the electric bill, not a Ferrari, the electric bill. That's why I gave you all the example of the guy who makes $30,000 a year, because there isn't really any portion of the family's finances that he can carry. And you add children to the mix, he can't carry anything. He makes too little. You'll be stressed every month. You're not going to ever be able to be in a place where you're with other females and you can brag about the man that you have because you don't respect him, because you understand that he's not the workhorse. He's not leading. You are. And now you feel like he's more of a dependent as opposed to a leader, much less, a mate, much less a leader. That's the reason why you have that visceral adverse reaction to it. In theory, all of this sounds great because right now we're talking about a hypothetical man you haven't even met. You all are in your early 20s. So right now it's hypothetical. You don't have an emotional reaction to it. Your only experience with it, Ash, was when you were very immature. And I don't mean immature as in emotionally. I'm talking about at a point in your life. You were very, very young. You just out of high school. Yeah. But in reality, you didn't have any expectations of him. You're a couple of kids. You weren't really expecting anything.
Yeah, no. I wasn't thinking
when she wants that 2,000 square foot loft with her Aston Martin DB11, 7, DBX, you probably want an SUV. She's going to have expectations of this guy.
If I have them on my own, no, I won't have any expectations of him.
But here's the problem. How are you going to have a 1%er clothes, 1%er wardrobe, 1%er car, 1%er housing to live in, and you have a bottom 80% man? How are you going to square that circle?
Square the circle in terms of how am I going to pick?
How are you going to be comfortable with that? I have a 1%er car, a 1%er wardrobe, a 1%er face, a 1%er place to live, and my man is a bottom 80%er. How are you ever going to be satisfied and comfortable with that?
I'm okay. If I look at men and they have women that are purely just there because they look either how they look or they serve a purpose other than financial, I feel like, and some of them are happy. I'm looking at their relationships like, okay, this is obviously she's not the one that's like bringing more money, and so I would probably be in that position. No, I would probably be in a masculine position. Would I want to? No, but wouldn't I just be the one that's more stable financially and he's kind of just there? It sounds like a sugar baby because it might be a sugar baby, but I'm just saying, yeah.
All right. And how much money are you expecting your man to make?
I think now with everything I've learned from the other relationship I was in, I think he would definitely be having to earn at least 350 plus. Especially in the city I'm in, I don't think it's unreasonable, but I think that would have to be.
All right. And Bex, how much are you expecting your man needs to make?
In terms of now or in a few years?
Let's say in 10 years, the man you're going to ride out for the rest of your life with, how much does he need to be making a year?
Like 200s. Yeah.
All right. Now we got the math on that. One last question, because everybody wants to know this. Starting in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Bex, how many men do you think make more than $200,000 a year or more? What percentage of the population do you think that is?
Probably like 5%.
All right. Ash, you want a man who's going to be knocking down 350K.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of the population what percentage of the male population do you think makes that?
I mean, based on what you told me before, I'd say like maybe 5 to 6% between that.
350,000?
350,000. I personally, yes, I think, because I've met some.
Yeah, that's the top 1%. All right. And Maya?
I'm not sure.
Okay. What percentage of the population, just guess, what percentage of the male population do you think makes $80,000 a year or more?
Like 10%? I'm not sure.
Okay. Bex, for you, let's just go ahead and make a close approximation between the pound and the dollar. $200,000 a year. You're looking at the top 5%. Maya, $80,000 a year. You're looking at around the top 15%. The $90,000 a year is the top 13%. $50,000 and less is the top 80, is the bottom 80%. So 80,000 is going to be in between there. So we're really around the top 15% of men, even at $80,000 a year. You're already around the top 15%. Bex, we were talking about the top 5%. Ash, we're talking about the top 1% for you.
300,000 is top.
So for all of you here, just understand, all of you, there's not a one of you who has included the bottom 85% of men. 85% of the male population, gone with the wind. Not even considering them. So you're going to have to exclude 85% at least. In Ash's case, she's excluding 99%.
No, because I thought we were in the context of the guy that was making.
No, I asked the question about in 10 years, how much does that man who's going to be with you need to make? I said that. So in 10 years, how much are you going to be expecting the man that you're going to ride out for the rest of your life with, take care of your kids, take care of that loft, that Aston Martin, because he's got to have his own car, obviously, unless you're going to be sharing with each other, which is cool too, I guess you can. How much does he need to make? 350,000 is the top 1%.
Interesting. I thought it was going to be way higher, meaning like 500,000 would be the top one.
No.
But, okay.
In reality, $100,000 a year is the top 8%.
Okay.
So people like to throw that figure around, six figures. There's only 8% of the male population that makes $100,000 a year or more.
Okay. So I would say that then.
$100,000 a year?
I think that is actually enough to have someone be financially independent and in a relationship bringing something to the table, and
You're
not being.
going to have an $8,000 a month lease.
I could change my mind about the lease. Like it couldn't, I'm not really
Okay,
someone
but
that
you're
needs
not
to.
you're not going to change your mind about your expectations. That ship, as soon as you said Aston Martin, that ship sailed.
No, it's not.
And by the way, because of where you live and whatnot, you haven't been down to Miami. You need to go check out the Aston Martin residences down there in Brickell.
No.
Okay. Those go for millions each. And the prices are only going up. So you might go down there. It might fit you very nicely. What I'm saying is $100,000 a year is not going to carry that. Not even close. Now, if you remember, for example, usually we want your rent or mortgage to only take up no more than 1/3 of your income. And that's really stretching it. It shouldn't go more than 25%, but 1/3. $100,000 a year, once we get to $3,000 or $4,000 a month, you just stretch that. You just broke that one. Even if he makes $100,000 a year. You've already broken the formula.
So do men now in this present day and time feel as though that the only thing they can bring is financial stability, and everything else that other than in a relationship, everything that comes with a relationship that you need to have, like loyalty, basic stuff, they feel as though if they're financially set, that woman will come to them and talk? And is it tolerating everything else, or are they the whole package? Are we talking about men that are financially stable with the whole package, or men that are financially stable and don't really bring anything else to the table?
Okay, here's the short answer. It's not men who say that, it's women who say that. All right, what is the number one cause of divorce, ladies?
Is it lack of money, like finance issues?
Okay. People will tell you the number one cause of divorce is irreconcilable differences. But when you do a deep dive on that and say, well, what were you all having irreconcilable differences about? The majority of those are financial arguments.
Interesting.
So when you drill down on this, some folks try to thread the needle, but it's like, okay, even if you say it's irreconcilable differences, they're having irreconcilable differences usually about finances. Why? Because that's a man can measure a woman in the way she looks. A woman measures a man in his productivity. And first thing she's going to look at is his income, because that's what she's going to have to live with on a daily basis. That's the tangibles. So it isn't men who insist on this, it's women. As evidenced by the conversation that we've had tonight, you all have standards. As soon as I drop that man's income and basically say, by the way, you will be carrying the finances on your own. You're going to drag this mule by yourself, basically. That's when you said, wait a minute, what do I need him for? And even when I left everything else equal. Now, the reason for that is because everything else is an intangible. Your missed meal cramps are going to depend on everything else. Your comfortability is going to depend on that. Because, like, for example, your income or your job, that could change tomorrow. You could have a medical condition. You can have a car wreck. If you're going into nursing, do you know the number of nurses who have carpal tunnel, bad knees, and back injuries? I've had a couple of them who are on my program. Some of them mixed chicks who are very salty with me now. Shout out. Well, shout out Ice Skater. But that back injuries are very common. Now, you want to be a travel nurse, which means you're going to be on the road by yourself. The reason you want to go into travel nursing is because right now, since the pandemic is paying very well, but in reality, you'd probably make, with proper experience, by the time you get done, you already know what you're looking at. You're looking at well over $100,000 a year, and they're going to roll the wheels off of you. Ain't nobody going to pay you that kind of money to sit at a desk job and play around. They're going to drop the load on you. Nobody pays you that kind of money to sit and collect dust. They're going to be like, okay, we're paying you top dollar. You're going to do whatever we say. We're going to own you. That's the way it works. Hey, go pick that patient up. No, you don't wait for a male orderly. They'll sue us if he's on the floor. Get him up now. That's the way nursing works. Well, he's heavy. Get a couple of the girls with you. Get him up now. This is a health hazard. If he's got an IV drip or something, you can't leave him on the floor. Well, I need some men to show up. You can't do that. They'll yank your yank your nursing license. Yeah, you're going to be under standards. If the family complains, somebody comes down with an infection, very common in nursing. They call Morgan and Morgan. They're going to be dragging you in for a deposition. Hey, how did this happen? What did you do? Did you follow proper procedure? Well, I mean, he was heavy. She was old. She smelled funny. So you didn't get her off the floor? So you just left her there? And all that work down the drain. Nobody explains this to you before you get down the road with it. And I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't. I think being a nurse is a wonderful vocation. But if nobody explained to you that, by the way, nurses routinely come out of this profession with nagging injuries, routinely, particularly knees, female nurses, particularly knees, backs, and wrists. Very common. I know a number of nurses in their 30s, all of them with back, knee, and wrist injuries that will simply be nagging for the rest of their lives, basically.
I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but if it's something that I've always wanted to be a nurse. A travel nurse was just something extra that I found out on the way of wanting to be a nurse. I've always wanted to be a nurse, and I understood there was risks that came with it, and there's other things that may come with it. But if I want to be a nurse, then I'm going to be a nurse.
And you should be. I'm here to say, hey, go for it. All 4 feet. But just understand, by the way, in that vocation, something could happen. You may find yourself disabled or not able to work as regularly as you do. Now you'll be the bills ain't going to stop just because you're no longer able to work like you were. Now that's going to fall on the man you're with.
But don't nurses have benefits? Like they don't just go into it with no benefits of
Exactly.
Okay.
Other things
that's got nothing to do if you become disabled and can no longer perform your functions as a nurse. You signed up for a specific job requirement that has specific job duties. If you cannot perform those duties, you're getting paid what you are because you told them, I can do all these things you want me to do. If you can no longer do it, they're not obligated to keep paying you the same thing. They're going to tell you, well, we're very sorry, collect your disability, and away you go. That's the way that works. If nobody informed you that that's the way it works, that's the way it works. Well, I got benefits. Yes, we'll take care of your medical, but medical benefits is not income. So when you go to the doctor, we'll take care of this. You pay the deductible, your copay. We'll take care of the rest. But as far as your rent, you haven't been to work in a while. So once that time period runs out, you're going to be on your own. Now, maybe you can collect disability or whatever, but will disability pay you what you were making when you were actually actively working those hours? The shortfall is going to fall on the man you're with. That lifestyle is going to fall on him. And what I'm saying is everybody says that's not going to happen to me. And if the unemployment law office and the medical malpractice lawyers had $1 for every time somebody said that. So it's not the men who say that. It's the women who say that. You all have that requirement. You know what? That's smart. That's just intelligence speaking. There's nothing wrong with it, nasty, whatever the case may be. But once you start understanding that, you know what, this really is a requirement, I got to think about the future, then we have to deal with the real world. Now, I'm not telling you all to change anything about what your expectations are. The only thing we're having a conversation about is what's realistic. So when I tell you that $80,000 a year, by the way, you're literally saying I'm going to bypass the 85% of the males. Doesn't matter how nice he is. Once he says that number, next, swipe left or right. I don't know which way is swipe, but whichever one gets him out of here. That's for Bex, 97%, 95%, bye. And Ash, pretty much everybody. So what I'm saying is if you've been lucky enough to meet 2 men in your life who make that, you might want to go back and keep their number because I can't guarantee you they get it.
That's the thing. Meeting those men and then everything they came with, because they are so heavily leaning on their financial stability and their financial the financial girth that they're bringing to the table, they completely forget the moral side of that, and just basic things like being committed, meaning
so
because
now you're talking about the faithfulness thing.
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you a question here.
Mm-hmm.
How valuable do you think that is for you?
Loyalty.
Yeah, that's not loyalty. You said faithfulness. How do you measure quote faithfulness?
With loyalty, like faith. I don't think you can be faithful and then go outside of a relationship just because you have a large income. I don't know if I could understand that ever in my life.
I'm going to put together a wheel for everybody who's watching here and everything. I've been putting together a wheel of the requirements that the female wants. And you all have about 6 major requirements that you want of a man. Do you think that a man is going to be a go-getter? He's going to be a top 1%er, that you're going to get a guy who is a top 1%er. He's driven, unlike the other 99%. You don't have to kick him in the rump. He's going for everything that there is in life. He can change your life tomorrow, no matter what you're doing. You can just sit down. He can still change your life. You want everything from him, including to be his only source of female companionship. That you want to have everything, including that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's reasonable? That he's a man that the other 99% of females want, and they would do anything for him. And you're saying he should be with you and only you and ignore the other 99%.
I mean, is that a hard ask, especially if the girl is financially in the same boat or a little bit below?
I'm asking the question. So you're saying that you expect all those other things. He's got to have a good personality, great income, and I must be his only option. He's got all these other options, and I must be the only one.
His only option, or are you like?
Well, that's what you're saying. If you're going to be his only female option.
No, obviously. I mean, if I have options, you have options. I get that, but when it comes down to the relationship, the committed part, I think then it would be.
But he pays the bills. He pays for the Aston Martin.
Mm-hmm.
He is financially completely committed and faithful to you. You're not wondering where his money is going. You're not wondering if he's going to go financially bankrupt because he's got a gambling habit. Mm-hmm. You're not worried about any of that.
Just financially.
Well, I'm just taking just that dimension for the sake of this, but I'm just talking about everything else here. I mean, he's not a degenerate or anything like that.
Okay.
But however, he takes care of all that business. You got a good look. He's not embarrassing you in public. You never had another female walk up and say, "Hey, Ash, I'd like to tell you what your man look like."
Wait,
because
so what's the...
The thing is, as females, I want to educate you all. I got to talk to Bex here in a moment because she's over there wincing because she knows this is telling the piece of her life here. You all are used to being able to call the shots early on because nothing's really expected of you. You come with everything you need to bring to the table. You're not expected to produce in order to make value. Your job does not enhance your value as a female. What we do and produce enhances our value as men. That's what makes us more valuable. No matter how much money you make, it doesn't make you more of a woman. When we are able to protect and provide more financially, that makes us more of a man. He's able to take care of not just one female's needs, but several females' needs. So when you say, I want him to ignore, he's a top 1% man. He has access to 99% of females. I want him to ignore every single one of them. I want all of it, what he's got. And I want faithfulness too. I've got his financial fidelity, his spiritual fidelity, his emotional fidelity, his social fidelity. I got to have his physical fidelity too.
And if they're both committed, yeah, that makes sense, right? Why would you not?
Because commitment for you is not the same as commitment for us.
Interesting. So you're saying that I have to be okay with...
Didn't say anything.
Okay. Do I have to now come into the relationship thinking, oh, we're in a committed relationship, but he has options now, even though we both agreed to be exclusive, he has to keep his options open, even though this is a monogamous relationship.
I'm so glad that Maya is over the age of 18. I'm so glad she is, because otherwise I couldn't have this conversation at all. So I'm very glad she's over the age of 18 because she's over there mind blown. Y'all see her eyes. She's like, what? Mama? Okay, well, here's the thing. Because when I said that What makes us committed to you is not what makes you committed to us. Maya went tilt. Her eyes went, wait a minute, hold on. What do you mean? Because here's the thing, I already asked you about that before. Bex, how valuable is a man's faithfulness to you if you're financially struggling?
This may sound bad to like some women, like for some women to hear this, but I mean, I feel like it's less important, and I know that men that are higher value, they have options, they exercise their options, but as long as you're the one who he's providing for, and you know, like you said, mentally, financially, spiritually, and everything, then as long as he doesn't bring home like STDs, children, and stuff, then and you don't find out, you know, it's like that's kind of what they do. The richer they get, the more value they have. It's kind of like it's their right. They feel like it's their right to, because you got to remember as well, men are physical, like, you know, in terms of looks and even sleeping with women, and women are more emotional. They can just sleep with a woman on a night out and have zero feelings. But for us, most women, we sleep with a man that we actually like, or we catch feelings after. So I've kind of just learned over the past like year that the ones that don't cheat probably are the ones that we don't want, you know, the ones that are in that the lower percentage.
Usually it's the guys who don't have that option. They're faithful out of requirement, not out of choice. Big shout out here to my man Cornell Sly in the super chat. I see you there dropping the C note, brother. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that here tonight. And ladies, Maya, I gotta talk to you about this for a moment. If nobody's had this conversation, just calm down, take it easy. We're gonna take it step by step. Okay. I don't want to mind blow nothing, but we're gonna take it step by step. Here is what we're gonna do. Now, can you all be honest for a moment? Have you all ever been talking to you've only had contact, the ability to make a phone call and contact one man in your life? Has there ever been a period from the age of 16 to where you are now that you only had one male? You didn't have a single other dude that you had the ability to contact if you wanted to have companionship, a phone call, go on a date with. You only had just one.
No.
No, because we have male friends. You mean that as well, or you mean
Women don't have male friends. You all have orbiters. So when we talk about we used to call them back pocket dudes. You all have back pocket dudes. You know full well you're keeping in contact with him because just in case, quote unquote, this don't work out, I got somebody I can speed dial right this second, and he will answer the phone. He been waiting for me to call. He been just sitting there on the bench waiting for the coach to call him off into the field. All women have at least one or two back pocket dudes. That's the way y'all move.
So men don't act the same? Men aren't the same way?
No, men do not behave the same because men don't have the option unless, now you're thinking you're 18, so you just came out of high school. You're accustomed to all of you being equal and the only difference being physical alpha cues, because he doesn't have anything financial to offer you. There was nobody in your high school who had anything financial to offer you. The only thing you could do is say, he cute, he's built nice. But you weren't looking at a fella sitting up here saying, well, how much does he make? Zero, I can't talk to you. So up until this point, that's how you judged him, is on his appearances. Now you're moving into an environment where you have to judge him holistically. You have had all the advantages up until now because, for example, do you think there was a single boy at your school who had the ability to have as many females trying to talk to him as you've had males trying to talk to you?
Yes. I'm like,
okay, but is that the average male experience at your school?
Yes.
Ma'am, that's physically impossible. That's numerically
impossible. How is it impossible? It's the same way. I'm confused.
You're telling me that all the males at your school had the same number of females trying to talk to them, that you females had males trying to talk to you?
Yes.
Okay. How many did you have trying to talk to you?
I wasn't counting. It's not something that I was just, thinking about. But ladies, some women throw themselves at men the same way men throw themselves at women. So I'm confused.
That's true.
It's the same exact way.
Weird.
I
That was a little
personally-
weird. I got dropped off here when I asked her that, so I don't know if YouTube is messing with me here or not. Maya, do you think that let me tell you the thing, how many, the average male today, how many females do you think the average male is entertaining the company of today?
Oh my God, a lot.
A lot is not a number.
Like 6. Let's say 6.
So you think the average female, you think the average male today in Virginia Beach is entertaining the company of 6 females? That's just typical. It is typical for men today to be talking to more than 3 women.
Yes.
Okay. Ash, do you think that the typical average male today, how many women do you think the typical average male is talking to today at any one time?
The typical guy like walking on the street. I don't think men get as much. The average man gets as much female attention, because I do think girls are a little bit more pickier and they move with standards a little bit more. So I don't think the average man is getting that. If they're not like crazy.
Give me a number. Give me a number.
Like 2.
Okay, 2. All right, Bex. About on average, how many females do you think the average male today is talking to or entertaining the company of?
I'd say 0 or 1. Mostly 1, but some none.
Okay. The average male out here today has no access. They're actually not talking to anybody. They want to. Why do you think Instagram and OnlyFans is so big? If they had a real woman in the real world, those sites would not be as huge as they are. 1/3 of males out here are having no sexual contact whatsoever. None. There's another third that's having partial. It's only really the top 20%, but that's who you all are talking about, because the truth of the matter is the bottom 80% is invisible to you, which is why I asked all those questions there before. So yes, you're speaking about what you think. You're right. Maya, you're absolutely correct about what you're saying from your perspective, because it's only the males who have a wide amount of desirability who you even notice exist. The other 80%, 90%, they're invisible to you. You don't know what's happening with them because you don't even see them, which is the whole point. Ash, we already know to get down over here.
No, that was gonna say, like, my point was, I'm not getting down like that. That's crazy. But my point was, when I was in my relationship for 4 years, I really did not have any contact with any other guy. I was tunnel vision.
Ma'am,
I am being so dead ass right now. I value loyalty so much, so I genuinely cut off all communicate, except for work. If I have to work, then obviously I have to talk. But if
you've already admitted that you have been in contact with more than one man. You've already admitted that.
But in my industry, it's not in a sexual tone. It's very like someone's
number can be the issue is, that's not in my control. When was the last time, and Maya, you can cover your ears for this part here because you're tender and young, and we don't want to corrupt you here. Ma'am, how many dudes have you had who were not trying to date you, not trying to be with you? How many have you had around you in the last 6 years that you're like, nope, if he had an opportunity to get with me, he would not do it?
Like, he would reject me?
Yes. How many men do you have who you keep around you that if he had the opportunity, he's one of your male friends or associates, that if he had the opportunity to be with you, he would say, nope, no way, no way, Ash, I'm not the least bit interested in doing that. I'm a good Christian missionary.
The ones that are in relationships. They're
okay. What about the others?
I don't know. Okay. They're married. A lot of them are married or in relationships.
How many of them would say no?
Probably like 4.
Okay, how many of them would say yes?
The rest of them, I
Thank
don't
you.
know.
Next, how many of them would say no to, of your male associates of the last 6 years, how many of them would say no if they had a chance to get with you?
Probably just one, because I'm not his type, but the rest of them, I think if I told them I liked them, they'd say yeah.
Thank you. So in other words, if you want male access, you got plenty of options. You've always had it. There's always been a dude, the UPS driver showing up delivering your mail. You've always got that option. What I'm saying is, men, it don't matter how cute the FedEx driver is. We can't just sit up here and be like, you know what, I bet you I could pull the FedEx driver. That's not the average male experience.
I thought that was a thing amongst guys, to a sport. They'd be like, oh, I bet you I could pull her, and then try. I thought that was a sport.
Yeah, of course, but that's only in controlled circumstances, in a place where they're looking for that. I'm talking about at random. Like, for example, if you ran into the UPS driver and handed him your phone number, you're pretty sure that the odds are very good that he's going to take your number. He's not going to reject it and say, well, I got a woman. He's not going to reject your number, and you're going to get a call from him. Now, what you want to do after that might be something different, but you know you could do that. Can the average male do that, Amaya?
Ask the question one more time.
You know that if you ran into a UPS driver, you could give him your phone number and he's going to take it and he's going to call you. Can the average male do that if the roles were reversed and it was a female driving the UPS truck?
I'm not sure.
You do know. Yes, you do.
I'm not sure.
You know full well it doesn't work that way. If it did, then there wouldn't be so many dissatisfied and frustrated males out here right now. They'd all be happy and cool. There wouldn't be such a thing as a red pill or anything like that. You know that you know that you got ease of access that males simply don't have. You got a lot more options if you wanted to exercise them. The problem is, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But you're secure because you know you can. But you know the average man can't do that. He can't. He can want to all he wants to. He can't do what you do. The options are not open. You know why? Because 80% of you are trying to get with 20% of the men. Truth be told, you're trying to get with 10%. The rest of them, you'll take him if the 10% just keep kicking you out and locking you out. Then you'll go and see, well, let me get a top 15%, top 20%, top 20.4%. And then finally, they'll give in for the last one. But you're not going to drop it unless you just have to. You're not.
I don't know how to drop it. I'm sorry.
Okay. We've already crossed the Rubicon about what it is that makes a man valuable. Do you think that do you think your income raises your status among other women?
No, I don't think so.
What do you think raises your status among other women?
I think relationship.
In other words, the quality of the man that you have.
No, I have friends that are girls that don't care who I'm dating.
Okay, that's not true. That's not true, and I'll explain to you why. Maya, pay attention. You young. She's sitting over there with the Billy D. Williams stare. Pay attention. As a female, when was the last time you looked at another female and said, damn, I wish I had her whatever, face, makeup? When's the last time you saw a female driving an expensive car and you said, boy, I'm really impressed by her car, by her ability to buy that car? She's she's more of a woman than me because of her car.
Not she's more of a woman.
Yeah.
Maybe, oh, I like her car. I want that too. But not,
Right.
oh, she's more of a woman because she's driving that type
How
of
about she's more of a woman because of how nice her nails are? Boy, she got fly nails. I wish I had nails like that.
What?
She's got a real pretty face. I would be able to stunt on all of y'all if I looked like her.
No.
Okay, so what my point is there isn't anything about females that raises your status to other women. Your car, your looks, your nails, your dress. You might be a good-looking woman. You might wear those shoes well. It doesn't matter how well you wear them. Other women don't admire you for it. They don't envy you for it. Now, you come walking in the door with a certain type of man, Now, that's what other women envy and will stab you in the back for and do all kinds of skullduggerous things. Your value is raised by the quality of man you have. Yeah, it's cool if you got a cute guy and while you are paying for your Aston Martin DB7. But it gives you status when you got a cute guy and he's paying for your Aston Martin. Now, that's what raises your status in the eyes of other women. That's what makes them say, boy, I wish I could be her. The quality of man you have. There isn't anything else you can do that raises your status in the eyes of other women, because there's nothing that a woman does that raises her status in your eyes. There's never been a female you looked at and said, damn, I wish I had toes like that. But if she had the right man, you'd be like, you know what? If she gets hit by a tour bus today, I wonder if he's single.
No, what's crazy is I feel like I generally, if I saw a woman walking down the street with a guy, an attractive guy, or if I had a friend that he was well off, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I would want to get with him. I'm more like,
under the right circumstances, yeah.
Someone.
No, under the right circumstances, yes, you are, because there's not enough producers to go around.
But no, it's like a code. It's like a respect, self-respect. Like, why would you do that?
Bets, do females have a code when it comes to respecting territory with each other's men?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, they don't.
Amaya, you are 18.
Sabotage things.
Amaya, you are 18 years old. Have you ever seen females respect each other's territory when it comes to the male they're with?
Like my friends respecting who I'm with, or like a random girl just.
You know what? First of all, we'll start with your friends.
Okay, my friends, yeah, they're gonna respect who I'm with, but a random girl, I feel like it's free game for real.
What makes you think your friends are respecting that? Somebody's over there looking at her like, girl, you know you're lying. That's why her eyes are darting over there.
Because they're my friends. They're not supposed to be worried about my man. That don't make no sense.
I'm sure glad I got two females a little bit older than you. Ash, are you really going to sit here and you heard what she just said? Is that accurate, Ash? Is that accurate?
Yes, like it's not hard to not.
Yeah, why would you be friends with people who you have to worry about messing with your man? Then they're not really your friends.
It's not that you're worried about that. The problem is you cannot choose from the options you wish were available. You can only choose from the options that actually are. There's only a limited number of men in that top tier of desirability.
But there's still a number though. So there's still an option. I wouldn't go and like pick that guy in front of me with my friend. There's
no, you'll wait till she was gone. No, you wouldn't do it right in front of her.
No, I would
she was
not.
gone.
That's crazy.
If he was available, you wouldn't do it right then. You'd wait till she was gone. You wouldn't sit up here and be like right in front of her flirting with him or whatever. You're smart enough to say, okay, if he gives you the clue that if they give you the clue that their relationship is not going well, he becomes an option.
If I value my friendship, no, he doesn't. He never does.
If your friend just broke up with a guy, why would I go and mess with that guy? Especially, that don't make no sense.
Okay. Ash, how many good female friends do you have right now?
Like 3 solid.
Okay. How long have you known them?
When I moved to LA, so like a year now.
I didn't hear that very well. Could you repeat that, please?
Under what part?
You say that you have very good friends today.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you known these very good friends?
So one under a year, or one a year, and then one from my family. Like I consider my family, but she's just like a family friend that I've known my whole life. And the other one, like 6 months.
So you've known one for 6 months. You've known one for a year. Mm-hmm. These are besties that you trust your man around alone.
Yeah.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, of course. Is that crazy? I don't know. I feel like I can read people. Okay, don't pull up. Oh my God. Okay.
She's answering for herself. I'm not putting any words in anybody's mouths here.
I'm in the industry of of where
in the industry.
Good looking women are like a dime a dozen. You can find one everywhere. Like I'm in the modeling industry is like they're
okay. Good looking women are not a dime a dozen. Not even in Los Angeles, but
I mean, where in the industry I'm around a lot of beautiful women. So
is Lizzo a beautiful woman?
Yes.
Rest my case.
Yes.
I said yes.
Huh?
Yeah. This beautiful women are a dime a dozen. Hey, fellas, step up and get a piece of Lizzo.
She's bad or she's a baddie?
Okay, so you're saying that you and Lizzo are on the same level?
Yes, what? Lizzo.
What makes them not on the same level?
Right. Grammy award winning, like, come on.
So her winning a Grammy is what makes her desirable?
No. I'm saying that
what makes her not desirable?
Talent.
Okay. What do you think a man is looking for?
Why is it always what a man is looking for?
Because because we just asked about what pretty women are. So by definition, we're asking what do men think. So tell me
why isn't it what a woman thinks another pretty woman is? Why does it always have to be what men stand like by men?
Because we're talking about what men would be attracted to.
Drake said he likes women BBW, so I don't know.
How many BBWs has Drake dated? How many have you seen him with?
I personally don't know Drake.
Yes, you do.
So I don't
you
know.
do know. Yes, you do know. How many have you actually seen? He said that. Now, how many have you actually seen him with?
He's private. Maybe he has been with.
He's not private. We all know about. We all know about his son by the Italian. No, we all know about his son by the Italian porn star. He is not private. We all know about that. No, he's not.
We know what Drake puts out there. This is crazy.
What I'm saying is that what you're telling me on the screen right now, that is equivalent in attractiveness to you.
You don't think she's attractive?
No.
She's beautiful.
That's what I'm saying. Is it because of what she's shaped that she's not attractive now?
Ash, I'm asking you, what you see on this screen right now, you believe that and you would both have equal attractiveness to an agency?
To an agency?
You think an agency would think that both of you are comparable and equal?
Now? And yeah.
Okay, that's a simple yes or no question. Are you tell me that they're pretty women? So you're telling, and you already said that they're as pretty as you are. So you're telling me that if you went to an agency, if they chose you over them, you couldn't figure out why.
Chose me over them?
Yeah, you couldn't figure out why. You're like, well, we're all equally beautiful.
Well, I mean, I personally have been rejected by multiple agencies, so I don't.
Were you rejected for something that looked like this over on the other side of the screen?
No, I was rejected because I didn't fit the look that they wanted. But I've grown to not take things personally. But I think they're attractive. Like I'm dead ass. Like
right, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking that you are saying that these women on the screen are equally attractive to men as you are.
To men, I couldn't speak for men.
Okay, but that's the only gauge of attractiveness, though. You're not going to upgrade a woman's life. You're not going to pay for her life. You're not going to pay for her Aston Martin. It's men who are going to take care of that for you. So when we talk about attractiveness, is what is it going to result in? So all you're saying is, oh, they cute. But what you're not saying is that they drive you sexually, that they are invoking any type of feeling or reaction from you. You're just saying, oh, they cute.
But I'm sure Lizzo has had men in her DMs and has options. So that's I think she's a wanted woman. That's what I'm saying. So yes.
Okay, where's your proof? Where's your proof?
I don't know Lizzo person. I can't bring up her dating history, but I'm
okay.
Sure
then you can't. Then you can't say. Okay, you can't say you're sure of it. She's in an industry where her publicist would be knocking down the doors to tell people who she's dating. That's the way it works. Nobody finds out by accident. That's how you keep your name hot, is telling them, hey, I'm dating this person over there. That's part of the industry. You've never seen Lizzo dating anybody.
She could be a very private woman.
Okay, so you're going to sit here and say that her being morbidly obese has nothing to do with it. Do you hear yourself? You're about to be a medical... Maya, I got to stop you for a minute. You're about to be a medical professional.
That is correct, but that doesn't mean I'm about to bring down another woman because her body shape is differently. I just feel like
what about her arteries?
What about her arteries? What are you talking about?
as an aspiring medical professional, you are going to tell us that what you see on the screen right there, that has no effect on your physical health. None.
It may have, but that does not mean that men aren't going to desire that.
Stop. Like, stop. So you're, as an aspiring medical professional, you're saying that what you see on that screen right there has no obvious risk factors to health.
It does have risk factors for health,
but
that does not mean that men aren't going to desire her.
I'm trying to protect her future, y'all, because I want to make sure she 18. I need to knock that word may or might. It ain't no may. She doesn't really mean may or might. She knows, yeah, it will, because I don't want anybody anywhere thinking that she's going to be a nurse and with it may or might. So no, we ain't going to trip her up. Y'all, she means it will. She gets it. She's holding up the system.
Lizzo is like fairly active, like she's on tour, she eats, so she's vegan, so, and she's been that for like what I think maybe like a year.
You don't get that big and wobbly being vegan. That's not the way vegan works.
I'm saying recently she's
not unless she's eating lettuce by the head as opposed to by the leaf. So there's no way that you look like this and you ain't eating beef in Sundays. It doesn't work that way. The body doesn't retain things like that. So if she had an exercise regimen and a vegan diet, she would be looking a lot twiggier. So you already know this because you have to maintain your figure, Ash. You already know this.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't happen by accident.
I'm like 5'9". I have a whole genetic makeup different. Like
Lizzo is probably shorter than you are.
Exactly. So she'll carry weight differently than I would since I'm 5'9". And
so you're saying that she carries a size 16 naturally.
This is crazy.
A size 16.
Maybe. I mean, they're naturally curvy women that they're.
That's not curvy. That's wobbly. That's not curvy.
Wobbly.
What is wobbly? This is wobbly. Right here. This right here. Yeah, there it is. This is wobbly right here. Yes, ma'am. It sure is. There it is. Yes.
But I'm like seeing her dance and stuff. I literally think
you haven't.
Like really active.
No, you haven't. You've seen her wiggle.
Oh my God.
I dare. Okay, show me right now. You all point me to the video. Show me a video of Lizzo dancing like Tina Turner, dancing like Beyonce.
She's not built like Beyonce, so she would not dance like Beyonce.
But why not?
Why isn't she built like Beyonce?
Yes, why isn't she?
Because she's just not.
Because she's fat. And what I'm saying is you're asking a man, the only thing a man gets in a relationship is you. We don't get your income. We don't get your social status. We don't get your education. All we get is you.
So say I were to go.
And by the way, I want y'all to remember something like this because ladies, I love you. You've all been wonderful here. But when you say things like that, when somebody shows you a picture and says, is this person healthy? And you're sitting there looking at it and saying, I don't know. I'm going to uphold the sisterhood over rationality and reality. Just understand when people treat you differently, that I showed you a picture of somebody morbidly obese. I don't know if they're obese.
I mean, because it's obvious that she's not.
And she could be elite cheerleader.
It's obvious.
Think about that.
So why
I don't think she's vegan
about it?
Because if you're afraid to call it out, then what you're doing is adding to the environment.
I'm not afraid to call it out.
Here's the thing.
Like it's not something that
okay, but it needs to be because as adults, that what's wrong with talking about an obvious truth as adults? What's wrong with that?
Okay, so as an example,
wait. I asked a question. It's not rhetorical. Okay. Maya, what is wrong or objectionable about talking about an obvious truth as adults?
There's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like it's not something that needs to be pointed out. We all know that she is obese, but that's not something that needs to be pointed out.
But it is if you're going to say that she's equally as attractive as a woman who is not.
What is it? I mean, it just depends on what's your standards of attractive.
It's not about, well, standards of attraction are actually a physical, biological thing. For example, there's a reason why women like a man who is tall and muscular. Those are obvious alpha physical cues of healthiness.
I mean, the last guy I dated was 5'4".
I didn't say that you're not willing to accept that. What I'm saying is if you see Idris Elba, he obviously is exuding obvious physical alpha cues. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to have that or whatever, but you have a specific reaction physically when you see that because you know what you're looking at. Tall, athletic, reasonably healthy. Those are the things that are about that. And if you take a look at Cedric the Entertainer, that's a different matter. For example, Ash, would you date that guy? That guy was 5'4". About how much did he weigh?
So coming to the relationship, he was like pretty skinny and then gained relationship weight, so a little bit overweight. So like the 180, I don't know, pushing for his height, it like looked different, you know. But
Okay, 5'4". So was he 5'4" and 220 pounds?
no, he was under 200 pounds, but over 150.
Right. Have you ever dated a guy who was...
I didn't weigh him, so...
No. Have you ever dated a guy who was seriously overweight?
Seriously over... No, not seriously overweight.
Why not? There's plenty of them in LA. I should know. I've seen them.
Oh my...
DJ Khaled.
But DJ Khaled, I would go for DJ Khaled. What are you talking about?
You would date DJ Khaled?
Not the whole.
You just said it. You just said it.
No, not because the physical. It's because of some of his things that he said that I'm like, but
what did he say?
That he doesn't go down on his wife.
Whoa, okay. I didn't know you were gonna go there with it. I didn't know that was the deal maker. Wait, I didn't know that was the deal maker. Okay, y'all. She caught me off guard. I didn't know that was it. Okay, that's why I get for asking dumb questions. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm seriously bummed. Well, ladies, it matters. And it matters because, like I say, the sisterhood is a cute thing. It really, really is. But just understand when you say that to men. I know y'all are saying this here because they got cameras on them. So they're very, very anxious. I get it. But just understand for the audience, you can't say that because those things matter. A man's money matters. If it didn't matter, we wouldn't call it money. That doesn't mean that his money overrides everything else. That doesn't mean if he likes touching on children, well, he makes money. No, that doesn't mean if he's R. Kelly. That's not what it means. What it does mean, however, is there isn't a substitute for that for something else. That doesn't mean it's the end all and be all. But just because something is important doesn't mean it's the end all be all. Water is important, but you still got to have food and air.
Okay, so, but if a man goes into a relationship and the woman is attractive, she's slim and she's fit, fairly fit, and he's attracted to that, they get into a relationship. Eventually, she gets pregnant. She has a baby. She gains the weight. Is she now, oh my God, she's ugly. Like, what? I don't even want to touch her. Is that now the reality or? It
may be.
That is crazy.
Okay, if you're dating a man with the men that you deal with, take a look at them. A man wants you the way you are. Women get with a man gets with a woman hoping that she's going to stay the same. A woman gets with a man hoping he's going to change, which is why when I give you all the income requirements, you're like, well, I want that as long as it doesn't stay there. Well, I want to have gray areas. But when it comes to the man, you don't want him to have gray areas about you. Faithfulness, black and white. Income, black and white. Whether or not something goes bump in the middle of the night and he jumps up to protect it, or whether he elbows you and says, hey, Maya, can you go downstairs and see what that was? That's not going to be a gray area. You're going to be like, wait a minute, that's black and white. You have to go. So when it comes to the men, it's very black and white. When it comes to the women, no gray areas. So no, ma'am, you would want that. That's exactly what you would want. You want it to be black and white. You would want him to be producing in your line of work. He chose you because he sees how much work you put into yourself. He wants a female who it's self-evident. He can look at you and see, hey, you don't just wake up like that.
I usually don't disclose, though, what I do. If I'm dating someone, I don't, but off the bat.
You don't have to. You don't have to. And once again, we don't want to be silly about this stuff. Ma'am, most females don't even look the way you do right now. It's very obvious you keep yourself maintained.
That's
Most
just my
females,
job, though.
Okay, but even in a daily basis, there's housewives who don't. As soon as they get pregnant or whatever, they sit down and they go to hell. So what I'm saying is that a man can see what you look like takes work. It takes effort. Maya, why are you so sensitive about this? What are you defending? I'm trying to figure this out. What are you defending?
I'm not saying anything. Just
you hate the pretty girls, and she's like, well, I'm Team Lizzo. Maya, why? I thought we were getting along so well.
We were.
Okay, well, why are you hating on all the pretty girls?
I'm not hating on the pretty girls. I love the pretty girls.
Okay, well, I thought we were doing better than this. She's hating on them. She's like, every time I say something about the pretty girls, why we gotta do that? It's because. But Ash, a man can see the amount of work you put in yourself. Bex, we can see the amount of work you put in yourself. Maya, we can see the amount of work you put into yourself. That matters. That counts. That's how we keep score. You keep score on his productivity because that's what you get. Ultimately, you don't want a man who's dependent on you. Well, guess what that equals? When you get pregnant, you don't want him to be dependent either. For the 9 months you're going to be pregnant, you ain't doing no shooting or anything else. There's going to be a time period where you're not working at all, and you're going to be expecting him to take care of all of that. And there will be a time period after you give him birth where you will not be working. He's going to have to carry that too. So guess what? Like I said, in a marriage, what he ultimately gets is you. How physically fit you are to bear children, take care of them, make sure you don't break down on him, to maintain a home. That's what we get. We don't get anything else. So if you, the young folk might be under the delusion that we're getting something more, we don't get anything beyond that. Well, sitting on this screen right now, this is all a man gets from you. You're not going to change any flat tires. You're not going to go fix it on the roof. You're not going to go snake the toilet. You're not going to go auger it. If something goes bump in the night, you're going to nudge him and say, hey, Negro, get down there and go see about that. That's what it is. You're not going to do any of that. And if a man asked you to, you would say, you know what? I'm going to go downstairs. But if I live through this will be the last time you see me. So I'm going downstairs to take my stuff with me. Thank you. Yes, that's the way it works.
Men really only look for the physical, like just shallow down to the physical.
I'm saying that's the tangible that we get. There are two things the man is looking for. If you want to just boil it down to basics, there are two things that the man is essential. Two things we gotta have. Number one, respect. We must be respected. Number two, she gotta be bad, or at least we're gonna get the baddest thing that we can. Now, do all men qualify for the same level? No. But when you talk about getting a man who is the best, income is a requirement. Well, for a man, when we talk about getting a woman who's the best, the way she looks is a requirement. Ideally speaking, if you have a female who, for example, is reasonably attractive like you all are, then that gives us a very good idea what the kid's going to look like. By the same token, if you got a chick with cross eyes and buck teeth and a hook nose, it's like, okay, well, here this goes. So if a man has druthers, he's like, hey, this is what the children will look like. Now, you might be looking forward to motherhood, but he's looking forward to a legacy. And he's like, hey, my legacy in the family, we used to have cute women now. Oh, boy. That's what we gauge by. So when we talk about tangibles, you're talking about income, protection, and providing. When we talk about tangibles, with a female, all we get is you. You are the tangible. That's all we get. Tell me what other tangible thing that we as men get from you as a female. Just name it for me. What other tangible thing do we get?
Emotional support.
Is emotional support a tangible thing? That sounds like personality.
No, I think you can have any personality and have emotional support. I don't think that's more I don't think that's a trait.
First of all, men are not emotional beings. So when you say emotional support, that's open to interpretation. Remember,
I feel like the suicide rate with men are so high that I feel like even if they're not emotional, there's something in there, like, because there's no way they can go through life and not express or feel or mentally. That's not really a healthy way, especially now in today's society. I feel like that's not really a thing now, to just completely disregard the emotional side of yourself. So I think emotional support, if anything, is more of a tangible thing now than it was back in the day.
Well, so respect is an essential thing, but emotional support for men doesn't carry nearly the premium that it does for a woman. Yeah. It's not nearly the premium for us that it is for you. For you, it's essential. Well, yeah, that's part of what you're looking for. For us, yes, we want it. Sure, we need it. We don't need it in nearly the amounts you do. Now, respect, on the other hand, you can never be too respectful.
Do men respect women the same way they respect other men?
Very glad you asked that. No, we do not respect women the way that we respect other men. No, we don't. Because what qualifies as respect for you is different. The way that what qualifies as faithful and committed to you is different. while I'm doing that real quickly, just back to the protection and provision thing. Something goes bump in the night. You have a man. He's never cheated on you in your life. But when he heard something go bump in the night, Ash, he elbowed you and said, I need you to go down there and go take a look at that. And he was serious. He wants you to get up, get out of that bed, and you go down there and go look for it. Now, you tell me, what's more important, whether or not he would wink at another woman or whether or not he's going to be the one who goes downstairs? That's a core principle is. Which man is more loyal to you? The one who will go downstairs and see what it is, but he might wink at another woman, or the man who would never wink at another woman, but he will not put his life on the line for you?
He won't put his life on the line for me. So
which one is committed to you?
Which one's
when I go downstairs?
The one who goes downstairs.
Welcome to the real world. So when you define things like committed and faithful, yeah, we can take all those other things into account. And by the way, include his income too. He would never wink at another woman, but if he heard something go bump in the night, he's going to elbow you and he's seriously going to tell you, Ash, I said, go down there and go see what that is. I'm not.
But the other guy that would say, hey, can you handle that? And is out here not busting like popping puss and stuff is the one that, why is there one another? Because if you're that devoted to someone to where you would risk your life, I'm sure you wouldn't go outside of the relationship.
No, because what we define as committed is not the same as you. You're the only thing that we get. So if you're allowing another man to dominate you, if you're allowing another man to have primacy over you, that's when we've lost you, because that's not a symbolic gesture. Your man can go spend the evening with another female and he's not committed to her. She's not dominating him. She has no real estate. He's going to tell her, yeah, I got to go back to my woman.
Yeah, but then he's lost me at that point. I've lost respect for him.
Ooh, wait, hold on. You would take a man who wouldn't go downstairs. Wait, you would take a man that wouldn't go downstairs over a man who doesn't cheat?
No. I just don't understand how those contradict each other, because he's so
it's making a value judgment. When we talk about defining, quote, faithful and committed, you're distilling it only to the category of, well, what sexual activity? And what I'm saying is, if you think that's so important, what I gave you was a scenario where you could gauge literally how important that is.
Well,
there's something more important.
I didn't pick until I knew the full like factors that were playing. But in my head, how I quantify it, like, oh my gosh, he's not going downstairs, but he's not cheating on me. I don't understand why that would not be one and the same. Like, you're risking your life. You're putting your life on the line.
Because men compartmentalize. You've heard that statement before.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you're trying to say, what you're saying is that's a contradiction. But
yeah,
for us,
I think it's a contradiction.
Not for a being who can compartmentalize. It isn't. For example, well, another thing that females don't excel at, you're going to learn another thing here. Men can have sex without loving you, the same way that we can fight somebody without hating them. You watch boxing and MMA matches, these guys beat the tar out of each other and then they hug each other at the end of the fight. A woman, you would be slashing her car tires. She's made an enemy for life. Ronda Rousey isn't friends or associates with any of the women she ever fought.
I mean, I
know about the UFC and MMA. Women can't fight without being emotionally invested. Men can compartmentalize. We can say, hey, dude, it's my job to do this. Like Mike Tyson said, I'm in the people hurting business. It ain't nothing personal. It's business. They paying me $20 million to beat the brakes off of you. So I hope your life insurance is paid up. You're going to need it here in a minute. It's got nothing to do with hating him.
I don't think I agree with women can't fight without emotions, because I started martial arts when I was 17 and I've sparred with men and women, and it was a part of it was sparring. You're trying to get better. You're trying to like take down your opponent.
And now what do you do?
I do Muay Thai. I literally tore my ACL. I was out for a full season because I couldn't fight anymore. Like, for real.
But you've never had a competitive fight.
Competitive fight. Well, I've
Have
sparred.
you ever fought competitively? Fought
I've
for a record? You had to get your fight card and clear it through the medical board.
To get to another belt, I was high red belt, so yes, I would have to fight.
You've actually competed in a actual fight with a referee and medical staff around.
Not with medical staff or
Okay,
with my.
Yeah, if it's a sanctioned fight, then you have it's sanctioned by the State Athletic Commission of California, which is real strict. That's going to require a referee, and that's going to require medical personnel at ringside. So what I'm saying,
Okay.
I'm not talking about we got together at the dojo. I'm talking about, hey, you're fighting to be ranked. That's somebody who's trying to knock your orbital socket out.
Right. But I wouldn't take, if it was me against another woman, which I was preparing to do, I'm not going to be like, I hate her now. I know this is like a competition to see who has more skill that is trying to take the other person down. So I'm not, my emotions, I compartmentalize my emotions from a fight. Actually, I feel like women are more able to regulate their emotions when they're fighting, because men, I feel like, sometimes get more, like, their testosterone, I don't know what it is, maybe not, but they get way more into it. I've had times where I was in a Muay Thai class and they've went out of control and they took out their anger on someone that didn't necessarily know as much as they did, but because in that moment,
I can't speak for them because I don't know who the sensei is. I don't know how they ran the place. What I can tell you is that for those who make it to a competitive level, they're no longer dealing with just the vagrants off the street. Those who make it to a competitive level, it's where we're talking about the NFL, the NBA, MLB. They got baseball bats, hockey. Men fight all the time and then shake hands and it's over. When women fight, she's made an enemy for life. Men don't do that. But that's because we can compartmentalize. And the more men you put around us, the more we discipline each other and say, hey, you can't move like that. But for women, just like you all clustered together to defend the incredible with Lizzo, that's the way that you operate. As men, we compartmentalize, but for you, you're emotionally invested to the point that you'll say that size 16 is just as sexy as me. And you wouldn't want to be at a bar or a club and tell men, you know what, me and her are equally sexy. You would never say that. You would never in life say that, but in front of me, we were emotionally invested. Like, well, I'm going to hold on. Men compartmentalize. And because of that, we wouldn't make that mistake and cross that line. So yes, we can be with somebody without loving them. And we can fight somebody without hating them. So I have to also tell you, I will pay all the bills and everything else, but I will not put my life on the line for you. I've already given you enough.
I feel I value more a man being protective over me. And I'll say that, like, I do appreciate, and that is one of the qualities I would want him to be, protective of me. But I'm not going to sit here and totally turn a blind eye to adultery. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, he makes sure I'm not, every day is not a risk in my life. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm risking my life just walking outside. He has to protect me. But when push comes to shove, in that rare situation that he has to, like, I don't feel like I have to, like,
you would not. Right now, you're angling to be with the top 1% of men. The top 1% of men are the ones who have the most options and exercise the most options because they can, just like you as a woman have the most options in your age group, and you exercise them because you can. You might be talking to a guy right now, but he is not the only fellow that you have access to. You've got access to others. You wouldn't be talking to this guy if he were the only person you had access to. You wouldn't be talking to him. You're only talking to him because you know you have other options. If you didn't think you had that, you'd be doing something different. And that's the way you all operate. Just understand, most men cannot do that, but the men that you want to be with can. And you're not going to be able to dictate to him what it'll do in that circumstance. So what I'm saying is something will have to give.
So do you think they're financially, the 1%, do you think any of them are monogamous fully?
The majority are after a while.
After a while.
Well, yes, because remember, as a female, you've had all the chips on your side of the table. As men, that's generally not the case. But the other thing is, monogamy is not a natural condition. It is something that we as men created for good reasons. Keeping bloodlines straight. We need to know who this kid is. If I'm going to pay for him, we need to know what it is. So as men, we created it, but we also, because we compartmentalize, we also understand that it's not natural. So we're doing it because it's orderly, but we also understand it's not what comes naturally.
Wow. Okay.
But biologically speaking, it doesn't. You take 9 months to give birth. You only have a limited amount of time in your life that you can procreate or have a family. Think about this for a few moments, because I was explaining this to a female associate earlier. Do you all realize that if a man, once you all reach menopause, we're essentially dealing with I don't want to use the word deceased. I do want to say the word deceased, but I will just say a non-active organism. There's nothing alive in there anymore.
Oh, where? What are we talking about? And where?
When it comes to females, once you all reach menopause and you cannot procreate anymore, a man can engage in physical activities, but essentially there's nothing in there working anymore. Now, for a man, it continues working for us till death.
But some men have erectile dysfunction at older
Okay,
age.
that's a minority, ma'am. You're talking about, well, someone got medical conditions. There are plenty of women who are infertile, but as a group, no. Once you all reach a certain age, we're dealing with a deceased organism. She's walking around with the kids and stuff, but internally, when the eggs are gone, essentially we're dealing with a deceased organism. Her procreation days are over. However, as I'm explaining it to you, what you were saying before, as men, it's not for us. Your runway of procreation is about 20 years. Our runway of procreation is about 60. 3 times as long. Nature did it that way to make sure that the species procreate. And that's why you take 9 months, but it's not natural. Ideally speaking, a man's supposed to have several women because that's the way procreation would work.
So very Ideally.
Now, you're talking about is monogamy and commitment and things like that. But then again, we've always required that. But what I'm saying is, from a physical standpoint, you take much more time. You have much fewer time to procreate, and it takes you a lot more to be able to get anything out of it. Whereas for us, literally, the time span that you're fertile, we can move on to 2 other women right after that. Once you hit 40, bam, you're gone. We literally could move on if we're the same age. A 40-year-old male can move on to a 20-year-old and start all over again, wait for her to be 40, and then before he's dead, he can get a 3rd one.
So using
Nick all of them can bear his children all of them can bear his children, even if he waits until menopause.
So basically, Nick Cannon, that's what we're saying. Nick
is not waiting.
But is that the example that we should be setting? Is that
no, because Nick's not waiting.
I'm saying, so Nick
is tiptoeing into degenerate territory now. Nick is not waiting. Okay. He's just out here grabbing everything right now. Anything that'll lay down with him, away he goes. That's what we created monogamy to stop.
I just feel like it's so barbaric to look at men in that light. It's very animalistic. It's just like, I feel like I wouldn't have respect for someone if all you can't. Now you're basically whittled down to a mammal, like you're whittled down to an animal at that point. And
you do know we're mammals, but we are mammals.
But there's a consciousness. So just because I can go outside and murder someone right now doesn't mean I'm going to do it, because I've had a developed consciousness and I know right from wrong now. So that's why
right and wrong are opinions. They're not facts. Now, understand something. I agree with you. This is the reason why women created religion. Because it separates that. People, the difference between people and what we call animals, or the beasts of the field, is that we can subscribe meaning to things. They don't. We wear clothes. They walk around naked. We eat on plates. They eat off the floor. We have rituals. We don't just lay on top of each other and breed. We have a system where it says we've selected this person for a set of reasons for the continuation of the species. Not simply because, well, they over there and they available. That's what Nick is doing. Well, she over there and she available. Now you're losing something. But just understand, that's not from a moral standpoint. We created these constructs to prevent that from happening because we found a better way. Now, as far as whether it comes from the divine or something, that's a different matter. But when we say right and wrong, Neely Fuller said it best. There is constructive and there is destructive. What Nick Cannon is doing is destructive. I don't know if it's, quote, right or wrong, but I do know it's destructive. Now, I do know that.
I think taking that, when men always push that narrative of, oh, this is my biological purpose, where I'm sure it is, but you're not living in a time right now where you need to repopulate and you need to just like, oh my God, I got to spread my seed so bad. And you're also at you're at a higher consciousness from an animal. So I don't think that excuse of it being my biological purpose or this is how I'm built, so I have to exercise that. I could, like, just because if my biological urge was to, I don't know, steal in a society
that wouldn't
right
be a
now with
biological
morals,
urge. Go ahead.
it wouldn't add up to. I'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the court of law. And because I have the biological urge to steal, I can. So
Well, that wouldn't be a
to
biological urge. Hunger is a biological urge. Sex is a biological urge. Thirst is a biological urge. But
they say that it's their biological.
Stealing would not be a biological urge. That's just bad parenting. Here's the real thing about it, though. Females spend a lot of time in the bathroom getting dudied up. You are creatures of ornamentation. It's in your biology. That's not something people have to teach you. The fact that you go to lighter colors and you decorate things, that's in your biology as part of your nurturing. So you nurture everything from your own hair to your feet to babies to, quote, interior decor. That's in your biology to nurture and caretake. Well, I'm saying it's in your biology to do that. Now, what you're saying is that monogamy not being a natural state is an inconvenient truth. The world's population has nothing to do with nature. Nature has evolved to the point that this is what it does now. Control. That's the reason why we started putting cultural practices into place to make sure it doesn't run away wild like that for the greater good. Now, if the earth were growing in size along with the human population, then this wouldn't even be an issue. If it was just spontaneously increasing with us, it wouldn't be an issue. The real thing, though, is that for the men that you want, they have options. For the men that you want to be with, he's going to have choices. He's going to have preferences. And just like you've had all the chips stacked on your side of the table in your early 20s and you could dictate the terms, when you get to 30, assuming you're still single, you won't be able to do that anymore because the prime real estate is where you are now. What you're worried about is that a man's going to trade you in. You all are sitting over there fumbling your fingers, and even little old Bexy is over there. They're worried. She's less worried than the rest of y'all because London is high-minded and evolved. But for us over here, you're worried that a man's going to, quote, leave you. That's what you're worried about. You're worried that if he's with another woman, then that spells the end for you, that she's competition. And that's not true either.
I think it's more not.
Who files for divorce? Who files for divorce more, women or men?
Women.
By what percentage?
A way higher percentage.
It's high, isn't it? Like 75 or something.
Maya, we're going to work on that way higher, more, big lot. We're going to work on numbers. We're about to go into numbers.
Infinite amount.
Infinite? There's not an infinite number of people.
Good God.
So like 75 or something.
80%. 8 out of 10 marriages end because the female, she pushed for marriage. 8 out of 10 divorces are filed by females. In other words, your chances of the man leaving you are almost statistically insignificant.
I don't know if it's about leaving. I think it's more about just stepping outside of the relationship. If you have to leave, if someone is in love with someone else, like, by all means, like, I'm not going to stop you from being with someone that you truly feel like you're more connected to than me. But I'm talking about when you're in a committed relationship and you're stepping outside and being secretive and it's now an affair.
No, he doesn't have to be secretive. No, he doesn't have to be secretive as long as he makes sure you're aware of it.
That's an open relationship.
Not really.
You don't think that's an open relationship?
No. That's literally not the definition of an open relationship. No.
If he's stepping outside, he's like, hey, I'm going to go smash real quick.
First of all, he would not say that.
Clear,
No,
obviously,
Mayo,
but
we need to cover your ears again. Can you get that woman who's behind you before they put her fingers in your ears? I don't want to corrupt your fragile, innocent ego. I want innocence. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to keep you pure and uncontaminated. I'm trying. No, that's literally not the way it works. If you go out there and sleep with a bunch of men, that's an open relationship.
what? Wait. Why would it go one way? And true.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that if you're with a man, there's usually going to be an understanding. Like if a female gets with P. Diddy, he ain't got to tell you nothing. You know what he is. If you get with a fella and that's his get down, you know what he is. Y'all are going to have the conversation just one time and that's going to be it. Here's the real thing about it. The real thing about it is what's the trade-off? Because the bottom line is if you want to be with a man who's going to change your life, who you're never going to have to worry about, it's going to cost something. You're not going to have all upside. It's going to cost you something.
Sure.
So this idea that he's going to be Prince Charming and he's going to fill out your Santa Claus list of everything you want, and he will want nothing in return but to maybe be graced by your body once a month. That's not what's going to happen.
Once a month.
What I'm saying is it's going to cost you something. And it's going to cost you something of equivalent or greater value.
So if he's sexually satisfied, why would you need to do that?
Why would you need to do what?
Why would he need to go find like what's really not clicking here is why, oh my gosh, I'm getting everything I need. I'm fulfilled here and I'm happy. My needs are met.
Yes.
I have to go out there and I have to sleep with someone else because that's biologically what I have to do.
How many outfits do you own?
One. Just kidding. I own like a couple.
You own more than a couple.
Yeah. If I have one good shirt, I can make a couple outfits out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, but you don't own just one good shirt, ma'am. You have a closet full of clothes. You probably have a room.
I'm not going to narrow men down to an article of clothing.
What I'm saying though is that think about that for a few moments. As men, we have a limited number of clothes in our closet. As a woman, however, you would chafe under that. If I told you had to eat the same thing every day, you would chafe under that. That would get very, very old very, very quickly. As a female, you need security. You can only get that from one man. You can't depend on men in general to put their life on the line for you, pay your bills, see about you financially, emotionally. Men in general won't do that. You need one man that you can lock down and depend on. But for men, it's exactly the opposite. You see, a man taking care of you and securing you never gets old. That's like gravity. It's like every day it's like, that's great. This is wonderful stuff. I love this gravity thing. But we don't need gravity.
So men that's one of the things that they have to do. Like there's not a man out there that is like, this one woman, I'm good. Like,
the thing is, for you see it differently. As women, you would see it differently because every man that you meet is a risk, is a physical risk to you. So that's why you don't really want to hop around like that. It's like, yeah, this could go bad with his bare hands. This could go bad. Men don't have the same concern. Now you want to talk about difference between women? Forget about a wage gap. There is a safety gap. Like I've never been alone let me not lie there. I've had a couple of females I was worried about, but generally speaking, I've never been alone with a female and was worried that she was going to do something bad to me with her bare hands.
Yeah.
I've never thought that was going to happen. As a female, something bad could happen to you with nothing more than his bare hands. So of course you're concerned about that. Security has a very high premium for you. Men don't see it the same way.
But sexual safety is a thing though. So being as though that is true, that I could go outside and get assaulted right now. Him going outside of the relationship is just as much of a life risk. If anything, now you're risking my life and my sexual health because that's something you felt like you needed to do. So now that's why I didn't understand that question that you asked about how, oh, he doesn't want to protect you, but he's going downstairs, just contradicted it because your sexual health is still your health. It can kill you, just like how someone else outside can kill you. So that's why I'm not somebody
reckless. I suppose, yes, if you're dealing with a guy who is reckless and careless, yes, that could certainly be the case.
Yeah,
but if it's not, that'd be a different matter. Going forward, however, that would be something to be concerned about. Something would have to give. I'm not telling you have to change what you want. Absolutely. All of you want what you want. But you do understand in the real world, something has to give. That guy that you're talking about doesn't actually exist. Nice ideal, but it doesn't exist. He'll have that aspect, but then you have to ask yourself, okay, now what is it he's going to be lacking? Because you have a laundry list of things you want. He can't be maxed out at everything. There's going to be at least a few of those things that he's going to be lacking in. Which is it going to be? And that you're going to say, hey, this is the deal breaker. So I think that's a good point to make here about having realistic circumstances about that. So ladies, we've gone, it's been 2.5 hours here, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. You all have been very, very insightful. We have been corrupting Amaya's little mind here. And it's, it's awful. We were so sweet.
I'm not innocent anymore after all these conversations.
We met her. She was sweet and innocent. Now she's going to be Oprah Winfrey and waiting to exhale. So it's, fellas, I'm so sorry I messed it up for y'all in Virginia Beach. It's just, I didn't mean to, but it's a wrap. Bexy, can you give everybody your OnlyFans and we'll go ahead and wrap things up.
I don't have OnlyFans.
Oh, okay.
I was like ready for the link.
Wrong one here. I'm gonna go ahead and let you all have the last word here, Bexy.
My TikTok, YouTube, Instagram is Bexy Lucy X, and I just want to say that I wish I knew what Maya knows today at her age, because I would have saved a whole 7 years, and everything that Jason is saying is facts, and I learned it all this year, and that's why a lot of the time I've just been listening, because I've learned a lot more, but it is just facts. So just literally take everything that he says, and you know, if that's the kind of men that we want, that's what we have to do.
It's gonna cost something. Ash.
Oh, do I just say anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, you know, I feel like I think that I can have standards, you know, there's like other things that someone could disagree on. It doesn't have to be, my deal breaker is just, you know, cheating. So that's just one of the things, but I'm sure there's other things that, you know, maybe won't match up. It doesn't necessarily have to be that sacrifice. It could be something completely different. It could be, you know, he lives somewhere on the other side of the world, I live somewhere. It could be something doesn't have to be, I don't have to compromise me, you know, wanting someone loyal in a sexual sense for, you know, what I think other people or what the expectation is of men. So yeah. Fellas, but I do hear everything you're saying, and you know, agree to disagree.
She's 23. She's in LA, and that Aston Martin ain't gonna pay for itself. It just isn't. Amaya.
Wait, I can say like literally anything, or
yeah, you can go ahead and start cursing, yelling. You can.
Okay. I was reading the chat.
Big mistake.
There's a chat.
Yeah,
I didn't read any.
Huge mistake.
That I'm too young to understand. I am very capable of understanding what they were saying. So y'all can like, you know, lower it down. But I do appreciate you for having me here. It was really nice to hear different standpoints and hear, you know, because I'm so young compared to the other females that are on here. It was nice.
Right now, she's 18. She's idealistic. And if we all remember what that was like. Good God.
Coachable. So it was nice hearing it from different points of view, or how my mind would be later on in my life. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, y'all know I was reading, but that's it.
Well, okay. That's the one thing I didn't say when I was prepping.
Yeah, I feel like that should have been in the terms and conditions. Don't read it. I mean, for the most part, they were pretty nice, rooting for me until I said it's cool though.
They're not nice to me. What the hell are you talking about? They're not nice to me.
Okay. It's okay.
And I'm the host, and they're not nice to me over there, so I don't even look at it. It's just like I'll just be banning people all night if I go over there. So I wouldn't be able to concentrate on y'all. So, well, ladies, this has been very, very eye-opening here. I think it's very, very important because we spend so much time talking about your generation. We don't spend nearly enough time talking to you to find out what you actually think. It doesn't matter whether we agree with it or not. We need to find out what you actually think, what you actually believe, how you actually feel, and then we can have a conversation with you about what you can actually get. However, I hope you all get exactly what you're looking for out there and everything. So fellas, they are young, single, ready to mingle, but you got to come back in 7 years, except in Beck's case, she's ready to go now. She's ready to go to Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia today. So fellas, get at her. She's ready to go here. Thank you very much, ladies. It's been a blast. I appreciate it. Here.
Thank you, Jason.
Look forward to speaking to you all soon.
You too.
That has been a program here. Like I say, fellas, nice. We want to talk to the youths. So we talk to them here. They let us go ahead and know what they're thinking here. And you get to decide, are they being realistic? Are they being realistic? Are they? That's a decision for you to make here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do something stupid. I'll go ahead and open up the telephone lines. We've got 2.5 hours here. Let me say thank you very much to everybody who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat. So thank you very much for doing that as well here. I see y'all out there doing what you do, and we appreciate that hit there. So Mr. Jackson, you know what's going on. Everybody else out here, thank you very much here. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it when they were on because don't know what y'all are going to say, but we'll go ahead and open up the telephone lines. Let me get that going for you here. The telephone lines are opening up. I'm making my life harder over here. All right. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. You can go ahead and give us a call here tonight. We wanted to talk to some young 20-somethings. And you definitely can hear what they're thinking is going on out there, man. You can see what their estimations of it are. And this is the next group coming up when y'all talk about there's a new chick turning 18 every day. Okay, well, those are the ones who just turned 18 or beyond. That was them. There they go. That was them. You got to hear from them with your own ears. Unfiltered. And by the way, I think that's a great thing. We should have that because they don't have a lot of sources to be able to talk to see exactly what men think. I mean, just the very idea that, by the way, what you want from a man is going to cost you something. That's a foreign concept in many of their minds. They're like, cost me something. I'm the prize. Or with the idea that most of these men have all these options. And that's not really what it is either. So they've had an opportunity to go ahead and do that. So you got an opportunity to go ahead and give us a call here tonight. Let me go ahead and get the phone lines here popping. Let me get caller from area code 630. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
Nick from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm glad you had this program. I can actually send this to some people because that kind of just did a lot of the work for some of the people I run into when I have a conversation with them about issues. And the recurrent theme is, and I mean, you can see it doesn't matter the age, from 18 to 50. A lot of them are holding the same mindset. Now, Bexy, out of them that were there, she had a more open mind and more agreeable. But also, she said she came to a different conclusion. She finally learned after some years. But a lot of the issues out here are but what about this? But what about this issue? There was many things that you said, and it was the one woman, she said, but what about, well, not all. It's kind of that thing that was going on. And the thing about Lizzo, I swear, I almost had to pull out like what you do, the Pepto, because that was like, wait a minute, what?
They're upholding
very hard to listen to.
They're upholding the sisterhood. But if she was with a producer and he walked past her to go talk to a chick who looked like Lizzo, not Lizzo, but a chick who looked like Lizzo, she would be mortally offended. She'd be like, this guy's a deviant. He's sick. That's what they would be saying. So we understand we're here in the cap. They got to do it. Okay, fine. The problem is when you say it in public with such conviction, it can influence other females that this gaslighting is true. And it's not. She'd be mortally offended. She'd say the guy's a deviant. He has a fetish. There's no way in the world she would be sitting there at the beach with Lizzo in a bikini and her in one, and the men talking about, boy, you and Lizzo look the same. You're both equally attractive. She would never accept that. Never in a million years. But they'll say that to us with a straight face. What I'm saying is that's a problem. So, but it's a good thing here we can hear them say that. It's a good thing to hear this say that because it's letting you know from an early age it goes strong. Now, look, they didn't believe that. Don't be deceived. They didn't believe that. They were just letting you know, look, for political purposes, this is what we're going to respond with. If you ask us this is our political response. But just understand that political response makes the environment contaminated. It doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah. And just the body language alone, every time they were given an answer, I'll just put it that way, and looking left or right in the camera when it was things that they really didn't believe. They just could not hold it back. It was, yeah, I really think this is this, but the body language was betraying them the entire time. But yeah, like you said, it makes the environment toxic to the people that will be, I guess, easily fooled or manipulated, or their minds are malleable. And I'm glad you had this program. I'm going to send it off to some people right after this is over. Thanks for that.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 631. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Lorraine, and I'm calling from Florida.
Okay, Lorraine's not sure where she's calling from. We're at in Florida. And by the way, there is no
Well,
702.
no, it's not.
There is no 702 area code on the line. So the individual who said there's 702 area code on the line, they are not on the line. So please do not mislead or misinform my mods. Lorraine, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida, but I'm from Long Island.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Where at in Florida do you currently live at, Lorraine?
I'm in Deltona. We just finished with the hurricane.
Deltona. So she's out there, Central Florida. Ways over there. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling because I think and Jason, don't get mad at me.
Really?
So I just want to say, I'm just saying it ahead of time, so I don't want anybody to get mad at me. But I just think that you guys are a little hard on the younger generation.
I am hurt.
I really believe that.
That was very judgmental.
And I believe
I am wounded.
I believe
I'm wounded.
I believe that you guys are harder on the young ladies, and they need more support. A lot of them grew up without fathers. They grew up without brothers teaching them the right way. I grew up with a lot of brothers, so my head got screwed on like the right way. I grew up with my dad, and that settles a lot within a woman. It settles a lot in her security. And you, Mr. Jason, I wish you had another show where you could actually be a go-between between the women and the men, because the men, when I read the remarks, they're so negative. Like the young lady was saying, Amaya, they're very negative.
But that's okay too.
And they wouldn't get
that's okay too, because I talk to males and females differently, because we don't need a co-ed classroom anymore. We need to talk to the.
Not co-ed.
Okay, slow down, Lorraine.
Co-ed.
Slow down.
I just think that
Lorraine, slow yourself down.
Yes, dear.
We don't talk over the host here. You're not that excited.
I'm sorry, dear.
Slow down. We don't have a co-ed environment. The reason for that is because co-ed environments usually turn into a feces flinging contest, and I don't want that to occur. These places where they do that, that's not what happens. You're a lot better off having a group of females addressing a host who's got a grasp of the subject, kind of like a college classroom. You're also better off having a group of males addressed by a single individual, not having a group of know-nothing males yelling their misinformation and their misconceptions at a group of know-nothing females who are yelling back their misinformation and misconceptions. We need to deal with each of these individually. We need to have a school for girls and a school for boys. And what you need to have is a teacher who understands where the boys are wrong to get that corrected. You see, I'm not
Yes.
over here saying, okay,
Yes.
now we'll all be okay if we can get these females straight. That's not the perspective I come at it from. Because after all these years of being misinformed by Kevin Samuels and other folk like that, that's what people expect now, is that everything's supposed to be biased. And well, if they're going to be Oprah, we need to have a male Oprah. No, we don't. We need to have a man who is going to call the males and say, this is the proper way for you to be. We don't need a female to guide you. As a man, I'm telling you what it needs to be. And for the females, here's what you can expect from the men. Notice I didn't tell any of them that they needed to change. I didn't tell any of them they needed to change what they expected. I was illuminating to them the reality of what they'll find. And when they start the misconceptions about what is faithfulness, what is committed, what is productive, what is desirable, now I start asking them questions, and then you start realizing it starts breaking down, just like it did with Karen and Vanessa and the rest of them. So no, we don't need a co-ed classroom. We need the men to talk to the men. No, I
didn't ask for a co-ed classroom.
But we don't need to have a go-between. No, we don't need to have a go-between either.
You misunderstand me.
The way we're doing it now, I'll bring on the females, and then I'll bring on the males separately.
I wish I could hire you. It's okay. I wish I had enough money to hire you to do a separate show. You can have that show. I'm not saying anything about that show, change anything. It's perfect. I'm saying I wish I could hire you for another show, because the perspective that you bring as a man, as headship, that's what I grew up under. That was my dad. He was the king of his castle. That was the way it was. That's the way it's supposed to be. God, man, women, children. Get in your lane, operate from your lane, and that's when you do it at your best. So I just wish that you could have another show where that perspective of what you bring without the young female, there's another perspective, Jason. You've got another job and another calling. I think that's what I'm saying. I wish I could clone you, split you into a twin something, because there's another calling and your voice is needed in another forum, and it's just needed. It's needed. And the men need to hear it in a different way.
Well, hurry up and play those lottery. Hurry up and play them lottery numbers better, and then you can go ahead and pay me for that. So thank you very much. Give us a call now. Yeah, hit that pick 6. Caller from area code 702. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jennifer, and from Las Vegas.
Jennifer from Las Vegas. And what's on your mind, Jennifer?
I just want to say I thought it was a great show, and I do agree that we have to have dialogue with the younger generation. I think they're lacking a lot of guidance. They don't necessarily have father figures in their life to know what healthy relationships with a man looks like. We also have the rise of alternative lifestyles. So some women may not be dating men, they might be dating women or identify as different genders. So it was just good to hear from the younger people and, of course, to get your way in.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. That was completely my goal there, is to make sure folks have the opportunity to hear exactly what they have to say, and you can gravitate to it or not gravitate to it. Let me get caller America code 817. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Shakia. I'm calling from Atlanta.
All right, Shakia from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
Okay, I want to start with Ash. Ash mentioned like cheating is her basis. And how come if a man have everything that he needs, why can't he be loyal? And one thing that I hope Maya can take away from this is, if you don't get, based on, I've been listening to you, Jason, that you are a man's piece, even if the moment you're not a man's piece, I don't think Ash realized that a man have many options to go do other things with his time. So this idea that women have of, I can provide everything that a man can need, want, desire, to me, it's a false reality. And somebody in the comments mentioned like the control. Women think they can control everything that a man needs when they're not a man. They think they can control how many options he has based on their needs. And that's something that I had to learn when I had to learn how to let go of control. So Jason, I'll let you jump in right there if you're following along with what I'm saying.
No, I think you're very right about that. I saw a video there with a lady who was saying the same thing, which was about, if you're going to say that you're going to be a man's only option, that means you got to take care of everything. He's got to want for nothing. And that's not the way females operate. That you're not going to be it's going to be very rare that you have that, especially for a guy who is driven. If we're talking about the average dude, if we're just talking about the average run-of-the-mill man, then he's a guy who hasn't earned the right to want to take those liberties. But if you're talking about a fellow who has actually built himself up, he has put in all the work, he's made it happen, he's gotten himself into the top 10% of men, you want him to get the same reward that the bottom 90% get. You want him to work his ass off. You want him to develop all these skills that you could never teach him and you could never have. You want him to develop himself in all those ways to be this maximum male figure. And then you want him to get the same thing the bottom 90% does. What I'm saying is, even from an equitable standpoint, that doesn't compute, but from a biological standpoint, that's going to be a very hard needle to thread. Here's the real thing. Women don't ever think it's a problem when they got back pocket dudes. They don't ever think it's a problem when they have orbiters. Women don't have a problem with having orbiters from a very young age. That's what gives you all security. Well, if it doesn't work out over here, I got some place to lay my head. There's some desperate dude who's been waiting for me to give him the phone call. Men as a group don't have that. And because men as a group by default don't have that, we have to develop it. We have to work for it. So they're talking from the standpoint of a privileged class of being who's been given these things. Men have to actually earn it. And as a result of earning it, it's like, okay, you want us to earn the ability, but to never use it. And here's the crazy part. When you take a look at women's body counts today, they've been using it like a son of a gun. It's only when they meet us that it's like, okay, I need you to be everything I want and be a Franciscan monk at the same time. Then you take a look at her sexual resume and it's like, wait a minute, you've been a porn star out here. But you want the men to be the complete anathema of what you've been. So it gives you more security. And it's like, no, here's the security that you'll have. The security that you have is that he would be that he would be financially faithful, socially faithful, intellectually faithful, maybe emotionally faithful, and if you're lucky, physically faithful. But those other things are the things he needs to be. He needs to be that. If you want to get with the guys who are most desirable, those guys have options. They also have the option of females who are going to let him have his way. But that's the whole reason he did all that work, is so that he wouldn't have any limitations imposed on him by anybody else. I think that's what you're saying about women want to control what men do. This is a very interesting thing here, by the way. In the 21st century, we're talking about women having abortion. Don't try to control our bodies. But when the men say, hey, side chicks, all of a sudden you need to control yourself. I just kind of thought that was interesting.
And so if I could say from the option standpoint, I also think that women have options confused, where our options, we can call someone from our past and we have not followed their life. We don't know how the man they developed. We put no energy, no thought into who the man really is. And we can make a phone call and go receive instantly. But see, when we're in a relationship, we try to bring that same energy and we don't really know our man. We don't actually listen. We don't actually respect all of those things that you said a true man brings to the table. The woman don't take time to respect all of those assets. And so to me, women become a liability. And so now their option, which they build their ego off of these options, is really based on liabilities that are similar to who they are, a liability. So you're calling, because you can't call an asset. A man that's an asset, you can't call him up and waste his time. But see, women are getting that option confused, and then also needs. If you call a liability up and you ask them what their needs are, their needs is not an asset. So basically, they're not taking you because you're an asset. They're taking you because you have a temporary need that will not grow with them.
Well, certainly what makes a woman valuable to a man is not the same thing that makes a man valuable to a woman. And the idea that we're going to dictate that and things, just understand when you have a man, men who build themselves up are not doing it because they've been waiting on you. They're doing it because they want to have the freedom to exercise the options that they choose to. Insecurity doesn't look good on anybody, including the female. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 908. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Martin. I'm calling from Jersey City.
Martin from Jersey City. What's on your mind?
It's an honor to talk to you, sir. I was listening intently. I was asked to call in. I had mentioned something earlier in response to a line you said about Kevin Samuels. I guess that's a no-no. But all I wanted to clarify was that before he blew up majorly on YouTube talking about babies, he was crapping on the men a bit. I remember
a bit.
Video he did about.
Yeah, a bit. That's
a little bit.
That was exactly
it wasn't didn't have the viewership or the following. And
Thank you.
Do appreciate he probably got a lot more following once he started messing with babies.
Yeah, but here's the real thing here's the real thing. What serves the population better? Because while you can go off and do that, and I understand, okay, you got to throw some red meat out there. I get that. Dude was struggling. You got bills to pay. I understand that. Here's the problem. When you have an audience of men, we're not going to change the women. Now, this is what the fellas need to understand. I keep having to break things down to an elementary school level about the art of war and basic psychology. We're not going to change women. Female nature is what female nature is. All those years of yelling at the women and telling them about how screwed up their standards are and this, that, and the other, right when you had an audience and you could have said, hey, we need to have a powwow with the men because we cannot control what the women do. Maybe we can influence it, but we can't control it. But what we can control is us. We can control how we move. We can control how we respond. And instead of having a few men of means that the women are flocking to, imagine if you had just 25% of the men getting out here and rocking it out and making it happen. Imagine if you had that kind of flux out here, moving as a group like that. Now, that's how you change societies. That's how you change things across the board. Because understand, it's more than 20. It's not the top 10% of females talking about abortion and birth control. That's like 70% of them. And that's infanticide. But guess what? Oprah Winfrey said, I got a female audience. Let me sit here and poison their minds. And then everybody else followed them. So right when you have a critical mass of people and a large audience, you take that as an opportunity to take the eye off the ball and say, you know what, let me talk to the females because we can go viral and make more money. But you know what, if you're really serious about changing this, then I need to sit these fellas down, because here was the other thing that you all keep missing when you all keep bringing up that, well, in the beginning, first of all, you all didn't say that. He said that. First of all, you all didn't say that. He was the one who said that, and everybody else just wants to repeat it. But it's not true. But even if it were, once you have an audience like that, this is the time to say, hey, if I'm serious about changing this dynamic, then I need to sit you fellas down and we need to stop fantasizing about being high value and actually get some of y'all made high value. That's what I do over here. For example, I can take a fellow who's working at Target. You know what, dude, if you get your CDL, you could triple your income. It won't take you 5 years. It'll take you 1 year. The man, at the height of his abilities, he was out for 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. Think about how many fellows could have doubled and tripled their income in that time period. And yes, everybody keeps telling me that he did a program where he specifically mentioned about getting their CDL. I'm like, he listened to me. He would rip stuff off, but you're half giving it to people, and then you're diverting back to the females. It's cool to talk about the females. It's entertaining. We're going to do that every once in a while. That's great. But if you spent 40% of the time focusing on the men, cracking the whip, sharpening the steel, and telling them this is what we need to do as men, because we're not going to change the women by complaining. We change the women by changing ourselves. By becoming more valuable, we got more leverage. That's what we're in the words of Euron Greyjoy, you're going to try to seduce her. I'm not going to seduce her. The Iron Fleet will seduce her. And instead of us having that conversation, that fellas, we're not going to whine and pitch and moan about the women like this. We're going to do it some of the time because the chicks need to know what the real is. But the rest of the time, it's going to be boot camp over here. It's going to be boot camp. The dusty, the crusty, the grimy. Oh, no, we're going to beat that out of you. Don't think it's safe haven. Yeah, we gave the females the business. Get your ass over here. It's time for us to make a man out of you. And nobody got made a man out of. They got to have all the guys who were defending him. They all said the same damn thing. They didn't say anything about becoming better men. They all said, we finally have a voice. That we've been taking all these blows all this time, and we finally have a voice to let the women know what's wrong with them. That's all they said. None of them said, but man, take a look, I'm a better man, specifically off of something I heard over there, specifically off of something that he said. I give guys specific directions. I hold workshops, IT workshop, skill trades workshop. You know the damn drill. I don't talk high value. I build high value. And then once you've got value, now you can leverage it. I'm not sitting up here saying, let me go talk to Brittany Renner so I can get more money for me. Let me get y'all built up. And this will change the society as a whole. Having one Jason Black or one Kevin Samuels or one Fresh and Fit whose money is straight ain't going to change a damn thing. Having 25% of y'all that your money is straight, your mind is right, and you got an alpha mindset and you got the tangibles that go with it, damn it, it's going to change everything. When the females realize, oh, that there's more men who can provide that, but they ain't playing around. Yeah, once they realize that's the thing, yeah, that becomes real. Because you know what? Men who are on a mission, they don't chase women, they chase their mission. That's the other thing about it. The females want that top 10% of men. That top 10% of men, we don't chase chicks like that. We don't. We got real stuff to take care of. The bottom 80%, they're in a constant drought. They're on OnlyFans. They're watching porn. They're idolizing the chicks on Instagram, shaking their butt cheeks. The fellas who actually got chicks who shake their butt cheeks ain't on Instagram like that. We're not watching porn like that. Don't have an OnlyFans account. Because we're too busy building what we doing. That's the difference. It's a complete difference in mindset. So you see when the females, because females are always going to want masculine companionship. They need it. They need security. It's biological. She needs that. She's always going to be looking for a producer. Always, 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 always. Men have more ability to say no because what we want from the females takes 10 minutes. What they want from us takes a lifetime. You know how much work you got to put in to be prepared to satisfy somebody's needs for a lifetime and can't fall off? Got to be on work every single day from the cradle to the grave? No, dude, it takes a whole lot more to be a built man than a built woman. And it is a huge disservice and misinformation to sit up here and act like this dude was doing anything in that regard. And I'm not sitting up here denigrating the dead. But what I'm saying is when people sit up here and say that line over and over again, that's not true. Well, he was talking to the men. He was talking to the men when he had an audience of 5,000. When he had an audience of the world, rather than saying, fellas, we're going to get these chicks straightened out by us getting each other in line. You want to talk about the Zulu? You want to talk about the Spartans? Hey, we're going to get us in. We can't tolerate that. The problem is Kevin Samuels wasn't a high-value dude, and he didn't know how to tell other men to become high-value men. He can't tell everybody to open up a YouTube channel. That's the only thing he knew. He got lucky. He got struck by lightning. What he needed were men who could tell other men how they could go from being where he was, financially struggling 3 years ago. So, okay, well, how can I do it? I can't host a YouTube channel. What can I do? And he couldn't help you become high value. At that point, the channel's useless. All that complaining at the women. And as soon as the man died, those women were doing cheer dances. Instead, he should have been building up a phalanx of other people. But he didn't do that. Only child syndrome. And right now, there should be a battalion of Kevin Samuels out there building up other men. Instead, it's just little old me with YouTube suppressing and hiding the channel. And with most of the males saying that what Jason's saying looks too much like hard work. It is hard work. So they would rather walk around the rest of their lives in a dry drought than to actually fix their issue and have it resolved permanently. And then they'll hate on the men who don't have those issues. Man, if you go ahead and put in the work, it works. You had a godfather who couldn't tell any of you how to put in the work. Didn't know how. And then didn't want to work with me. He wanted to take bits and pieces. Hey, that's good. I'm like, dude, you're disserving everybody. If you can't tell them how to become high value, this is worthless. I'm not going to put you on Front Street. You don't have to know how to be high value. Bring in those of us who can. I'm not an IT specialist. I brought in IT specialists to give y'all the IT workshop. I worked construction 20 damn years ago. I remember most of the mechanics of it, and a lot of it hasn't changed, but I brought in dudes who do contracting to do the skilled trades workshop. I've never driven an 18-wheeler, not for a living, I brought in dudes who drive 18-wheelers and got the CDLs and run the businesses. I brought them in to talk to you all. I didn't sit up here and say, well, why don't y'all just go ahead and keep it driven here? No, I didn't try to hide anything. I said, hey, if I don't know this, let me bring in somebody who does, because I want to make sure you get gamed up. And then I passed in the microphone and let them go ahead and spit for the whole 2 or 3 hours. You never saw that over there. Never. So this is a lie for people to keep saying he was helping. You never had anything like that happening. He wouldn't let anybody. He was intimidated and scared that someone was going to steal his audience. So he was trying to protect the audience instead of protecting y'all. But that's what you do when you sit up here faking you ain't really got it. Well, I got it. So that's why I'm not scared to tell y'all. Because if you're willing to compete, you'll get it. But I understand most men won't compete. So I have no problem giving you all everything that you need. I know most men are not going to use it, but it would be nice if they did. But if 25% of you do, that'll change the dynamic. But let us be very, very clear. Wasn't no high value men getting built over there. Never were. And if he lived another 30 years, it wouldn't be any different. So I'm not saying anything that is untrue. We have a voice to go whine and pitch and moan at the females the way they've been whining at us. Okay, and what has that got you? What did it win? What did that accomplish? Are the females more respectful today? Hell no. They were dancing on that man's grave. They were before the body was cold. That's what it did. Now, you know what stops that kind of bull jive? When 25% of the male population has the ability to reward the females who do the right thing and punish the ones who don't. Now, that's what changes things when you build other men up. And now we moving as a unit, because right now as a man, the Me Too movement, do y'all understand that was domestic terrorism? That if you even say something a female doesn't like, it'll cost you your job. Take a look at Jalen Rose. So we can attack the men, put your name everywhere, accuse you of anything, but you can't even name the female. Dude, this is a terrorist state. And that's not going to change with one fella saying, well, if I get on, I'm going to see what I got to do to protect me. No, I got to get a group of y'all together so we can move as a unit to stop this damn thing. But right now, the females are saying you can't even say something that they don't like. And you're not going to stop that by lying. We got to get these guys gamed up all the way. We can't play about it. We can't play about it, and we can't fantasize about it. We don't need to sit here and talk trash to the women. We need to get built so that we can reward the ones who do the right thing and disincentivize the ones who don't. And that never happened. When he finally did blow up, that was the moment to say, hey, let me gather the men. He completely misread and misinterpreted everything. But then again, even if he did, he wasn't ready for it. And he didn't want to work with nobody else. The folks who knew what he didn't, which was most people, he didn't want to work with them. He was just like, well, hell, let me go ahead and just whine and moan and let me go travel around the country and stuff. It's like, okay, dude. And meanwhile, who else is working? Who else is built? Who else is ready? I hope you're taking notes. Thank you very much for giving us a call. He's in stunned disbelief. Let me get caller from area code 718. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Again, caller from 718.
Charlestown, Maryland.
Okay, what's your name again?
This is Anwar. I'm calling from Charlestown, Maryland.
Anwar from Charlestown, Maryland. What's on your mind?
I had a question for you. First, thank you for putting in the work and orchestrating and executing tonight's program. The question I have is, if we know that the passport bro logic is flawed and not viable, and we've seen time and time again that, women of marriageable age are not really marriage-minded, what should producer men really be thinking as it pertains to the options for leaving a legacy through family?
First and foremost, you have to be a complete man yourself. You can't be an incomplete man. A complete man has correct vision. He has an agenda. He doesn't have a woman around because we got a woman around. He has her around for a specific purpose and place. There's a reason why with the females that you see me bring on here, generally they have good diction. They can represent you well. What they're lacking is some stewardship and some leadership. But generally, that's what you're looking for. So you don't just have a female around because you got a female around. You have to have an agenda, and the female has to fit within the agenda. If your agenda is, I need somebody to lay up with, it's going to be a weak agenda. So you can't sit up here and demand respectability and coachability if all you're looking for is to get laid up on. So as men, you have to have an agenda to bring a woman into. Y'all got to get the structure built, and then you bring the woman into that. So it depends on what the agenda is. Take a look at Malcolm X. He had an agenda. He got Betty for that. Take a look at Joe Jackson. He had an agenda. He brought in, her name slips now, Mama Jackson. Y'all know who it is. Anyway, he brought her into that. Jay-Z, he had an agenda. He brought in Beyonce. I can go down the list. So if you're good, you need to be built first. And when that happens, then you know what you got her for.
Okay. I appreciate the response. I thought I did have an agenda until you responded this way. So maybe I'm a little a loss for words in terms of it's a sourcing issue. It's like a quality issue. It's like, I'm pretty sure I have the agenda. It's just that the quality doesn't seem to be there.
Okay. Remember, team reflects leadership. Quality is rare among men and women. Unfortunately, among the women, it's horribly rare today, but quality is rare among men and women. I am not going to sit here and confine you to a geographic location, but this idea that women are somehow different, that's not it. If you, as a young man, you should travel. Okay. You should travel. You shouldn't just stick to the United States. There's a whole planet out there. You should explore the planet the way you explore a country. You shouldn't just be in the same town you are your whole life. There's things you haven't seen. It's not possible for you to see everything that there is by you staying in your town. So you do yourself a tremendous service by traveling and going to see things and explore and see everything that's out there. So then you can make a choice of what kind of person you're going to be, because you can't make that choice if you're confined to one small geographic location. But by the same token, once you do that, then you can make different decisions. But this idea that there's some promised land or some nirvana where, quote unquote, the females ain't like that, that's the part that's a lie. That's the part that's a lie. Is there's some nirvana or some Shangri-La out there where the females have, quote unquote, traditional values and not westernized. Meanwhile, these guys are talking to chicks who got weaves, butt implants, and wearing Levi's in Colombia, in Brazil, and telling you and me that they're not westernized. That's the part that I'm saying, man, stop the cap.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because from my travels domestically and internationally, I saw the same thing. So I never bought into the passport bro idea. So as I have traveled, I see the same thing with the quality, but I understand where you're coming from.
Just understand something. I mean, you're just like looking for a needle in a stack of needles. I'm not going to lie to you. Here's the problem. You ain't going to catch anything if you ain't built. So if you want to be at least competitive at this, you're not going to catch anything if you're not built. Now, I'm not here to tell you about what type of female you want to go for. That's up to you. What I am telling you is the single biggest determinant of whether or not you're going to get what you want is you, not them. So what I'm saying is you got to make sure you're built first. The better built you are, the more leverage you have. And then you can start picking and choosing. But is it going to be easy? No, it is not. Are we flush with wife material? Hell no, we're not. The wife material is rare today. Rare. A female who is suitable to carry a legacy and not going to be a disciplinary problem. There's a reason why I coined the phrase wife material. Now I hear the whole internet using it. I coined the phrase wife material and the whole world's using it now. That's great. But they're not repeating what I said wife material was. So when I give them the list of things that make female value, they're not repeating that part. They want to go off and go make some alternative lifestyle list instead of taking the whole game that I gave them. But just you understand, yes, you can travel, you can look around this, that, and the other. But before you do anything else, make sure you're straight first. Because a lot of y'all think y'all are straight and you're thinking that, you're solid, and it's not there. Not to the extent that you think it is. So that would be something in particular. That would be something in particular you want to investigate. Is, by the way, find a female that you've been with and say, do I strike you as being a little stiff or a little square? And then shut the hell up and let her answer.
No, absolutely, and thank you for that last part, because the quality issue is what I'm running into, and you kind of validated my findings, is that it's supposed to be extremely difficult. So that's sometimes I just need a little sanity check.
Well, I mean, if you're going to commit to somebody for the rest of your life, sure. Just make sure that you're not being unrealistic. That's more important than anything. Just having your money straight does not make you husband material. The females want something. The females are after something. They want to get something out of the deal. Just having your money straight, that's not the end all and be all. It's an essential component like air, food, and water. But there's 3 things we need. We don't just need one. It's not, okay, give me some air and I'm straight. No, I got to have air and food and water. I need all 3 of these. Now, I don't need 7 things, but I need these 3. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me check here, make sure something right quick here. Who is that? Who's it who said that? Okay. I don't see another area code here. Let me get caller area code 909. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Talia from Los Angeles.
All right, Talia from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Sorry, there's a bit of delay on my end. But yeah, I just wanted to call in. I think that you made a very, very important point that was really real, which is that a lot of women don't prepare themselves to be the partner to these producers. And there's this expectation that like we are the prize, right? But I don't think that it's demonstrated from this broadcast tonight that there's not a real understanding of how much work actually goes into being a compatible partner to someone who's a producer who carries all these things on their shoulders. And I think I just wanted to say that there's a level of unselfishness that goes into that goes beyond even just trying to appeal to someone, but genuinely having this desire to be useful and to be a benefit to your community and to the people around you. That is something that can't be faked. And
the more useful you are and the more valuable you are, that's an important characteristic. The more a person builds themselves up, the more valuable they become. The problem is that's hard work. You can't just go to a store and buy it. You have to spend years cultivating that, overcoming your own deficiencies in order to be able to do that. And that takes years for you to rewrite your own programming, to overcome your misconceptions and your own faults and character flaws. That's hard to do. So you're asking people to do very, very hard work, and most people opt out of it, and then they spend their time complaining about the lack of results. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 772. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes. Hey, Mr. Black, this is Matt Vic from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
All right, Vic from Port St. Lucie. You sound hollowed out there, so if you're sitting under the bed, can you come out?
No, I'm in the car.
Okay, what's on your mind?
All right, I'm calling to report back in. I had spoke to you a few months ago on a Saturday. One of your patrons, or at least I was, until it looked like I might have got kicked off of Patreon. Like I paid the money.
Okay, brother, can we go ahead and get to it here, brother? Time's limited. What's on your mind?
Okay. I'm so I just in case you may not have remembered who I am. I was moving in back to the house where my mother is living, and I separated from my wife.
Okay.
And so that's where I stand right now. And I had picked up I went to trade school, HVAC trade school. Right now I'm in the second of 4 sessions right now.
Okay, we're in the second of 4. How long until you're completed with it?
At least by May.
Okay. Well, you all, I talked to him before about this, and like I say, we were having some issues about that. There's some property issues that were going on and things like that. So we were talking about a few things here.
Yes.
So I did give him some information and some advice on how to handle that. If he's following up on it, then this will work. If he refuses to do it, then he will just be left in a vulnerable position and just let everything crash down around you. Because he's trying to carry a pretty he's trying to carry a pretty heavy financial load right now, and he's not in a position to do it. So he's trying to hold some things together, but he's not in a position to do it. Mama ain't did what she's supposed to do, so we're not going to rehash that. But mom didn't do what she's supposed to do, so he's kind of in a position trying to hold things together. And I know where you're coming from. You got to get your weight up for that to happen. So what you're telling me is that you went ahead and entered trade school since we talked.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we are halfway through it.
As of December, I will be halfway.
Okay, as of next month, he'll be halfway through it.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've gotten started.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing's going to be given to you. And if you stand by it and stick with it, it will give you dividends. What that
Yes,
probably
sir.
means, though, is that you expect to be done with all this by what, May?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
He's done with trade school.
Jason's not guessing his way through it. Now, the single biggest piece of advice that I can give anybody who is in trade school, medical school, or anything else, the single biggest determinant of how high your income will be is how good you are at what you do. If you are an average HVAC technician, you will make average money. If you are an excellent HVAC technician, you will make excellent money. Your ability to be good at this, to get into class, to study, to ask to do the hard work, to do the preliminary stuff, people bring their air conditioners up to get looked at and whatever, your willingness to do this now and put in the man hours, like that's going to determine your money. There were two people in particular I remember this about. There are two people in the NBA who I've heard nothing but stories about how great they were at this. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Those are the two men that I heard about that they were relentless about practicing, not about playing, that they put more time in practicing than anything else. Kobe Bryant would come back there in the locker room yelling at dudes and talking about y'all need to be off the team. But one of the things that they didn't talk about is the fact that he was like, hey, I was at practice. I was here at 5 a.m. and I'm looking at dudes who weren't. And then they're wondering why we lost tonight. That was what he was upset about. I'm here at 5 and 6 in the morning. I'm here on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm practicing and I'm looking at 3 dudes over here who ain't showed up for nothing. And then we wondering why we lost. Michael Jordan was the same way. These guys were relentless about practicing. So the amount of practice and dedication that you put into your craft, the better you will be. And if you are excellent at what you do, then you will make excellent money. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. That's everything. What gives a worker leverage? Being excellent. You've chosen a vocation that's not limited as much as a lot of others are. You want to maximize it. I'm telling you right now in the school side, be excellent. Don't be good. Be excellent.
Yes, sir.
I expect to hear back from you in February.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I will join your Patreon again once I get that situated with how to log back in without getting kicked off, because I paid, but I still couldn't get in. But as soon as I get that,
okay, well, I don't think that's the issue there. If you're
on.
just doing it from the website, you'll be okay. Don't try to go to Vimeo or something. Just do it directly from the website.
Okay.
Don't try to use the app. Just go directly to the website. Use the player from there. Don't try to go anywhere else.
Will do.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. We don't talk high value over here. We build high value over here. I don't just talk about high value men. I create and build high value men over the course of years. I'm going to be right here. You want to know what the difference was between me and Kevin Samuels? That phone call right there. That was the difference. You never heard anybody say, Kevin, you told me that what I needed to do was go to this school, follow up. You never heard that phone call come in, and you never will, because that wasn't what was happening. You never heard him say, call me back so I can make sure that you are built. And oh yeah, don't call me back secretly and don't book a session. I put a telephone number up on the screen. We talking about is our Generation Z women being realistic. But by the way, he called me during this program. I didn't hang up on him. I didn't say, hey brother, call me back on Patreon. Let's go ahead and hash this out right now. Tell me what's going on. Let me hear what you got to say. We'll go from there. I don't talk high value men. I build them. And if these guys were serious, after 2 years, we'd have a whole lot more built men out here. And the females would be out here standing to attention. Because we would be moving like a military unit. And the more high value men there are, the more leverage you got. A few of us, yeah, it stacks up leverage for us, but that doesn't help us as a group. If only 10% of us are good and the other 90% are struggling and screwed up in the game, that doesn't help us as a group. So no, you want to know what the difference is? I don't spend my time sitting up here talking slack-jawed garbage about females like that. I say, come to the fellas here, welcome to boot camp. We're going to break you down and build you up. And when I get done, you will be a high-value man. And then from there, these other issues are going to be a whole lot easier to navigate. Well, let me tell you, a struggling dude can't navigate anything. It might be hard to do it if you're a producer, but it's impossible to do it if you're struggling. So to anybody who says, what was the difference? What is the difference between me and him? What was the difference between me and him? That phone call you just heard. And for those of you who followed me all this time, you know there's a couple of thousand others just like it. And if I had an audience of 1 million people, then this conversation would be radically different. I'll say, hey, fellas here, we're going to talk about the women for a minute, but then we're going to sit here and hold a war council. We got to talk about us. Caller from area code 330, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello. My name is Alia.
Okay, ma'am. It sounds like you are slobbering down and tongue kissing the phone. Can you talk a little bit better?
My bad. I had AirPods in. Can you hear me now?
Yes. What is your name? Where you calling from?
Aaliyah from Akron, Ohio.
Okay. What's the name again?
Aaliyah.
All right. Aaliyah from Akron. What's on your mind?
First, I want to say, I love your content. I'm actually kind of new to finding your channel, but I really enjoyed this broadcast because I personally am in like Gen Z. I'm 25, so I think that a lot of women in my generation aren't being realistic about like dating, and they're not being realistic about their expectations. Especially like as far as like when I saw Amaya, she kind of reminded me of myself because I used to want to be a nurse. So it's just like, I think a lot of women aren't taking into consideration, like, if you really want to be married one day, like, those are not things that you should be focused on right now.
Well, here's the real thing about it, though. You're 18 years old. That's great. You have your whole life in front of you. You are instead telling us now that your plan is to focus on a career. Problem, you cannot focus on a husband and a career at the same time. You're going to cultivate one's going to be cultivated, and the other one's going to suffer. And this idea of the job is going to be more loyal to you than the man. A job does not have intrinsic value in you. A job does not see intrinsic value in you. A man will pay to provide and protect for you simply because you exist. A job will only pay and provide and protect for you so long as you produce. And they're constantly looking for ways to get rid of you, even if you do produce, simply because they can save money. So you will never get the value from a job that you get from a man. That's insanity, but somebody's got to explain it to them because they don't know. They've been raised by other females who were struggling and couldn't get along with a man. So these women who didn't have that option have told the daughters, you don't have the option either. No, the daughters do have the option if they don't get timed out and aged out and set in their ways. They can have the option too. But the real thing is, let's just be very, very clear. These chicks want to have an upper class life. I don't have anything problem with that. A female should want that. Females help motivate a man to do that. But if they want that kind of man, they have to understand what that man is. It's not a fantasy running around in your head. It's not, if you ask them, what she say, 60% of the population? No, it's not. It's like 10% of us who can do that. It's not 60% of the men. It isn't. How many of them even make 6 figures? Like I say, they grossly are overestimating the number of options that they have. And then if they actually go out and try to execute it, that's where the problem comes in. None of them have sat up here and said, okay, let me go get a man to commit to marrying me. That's going to be hard. Committing to dating you is going to be easy. Sex is easy. Telling you that he would like to marry you, that's easy. Getting down on one knee and proposing, now that's hard. And getting down the aisle is hardest of all. Hardest of
And that's
all.
why, like, I really do. I'm sorry. That's why I really do enjoy your platform, just because, like, I think that I had my father in my life, but I think that there's some things that he didn't necessarily like tell me because of the fact that I had a lot of women around in the family. Like, so sometimes he wanted to kind of give me like the softened version of the truth, I like to say. But the truth is, like, you're gonna have all this time once you find a man to do whatever you want. You can do a career if that's something that he is okay with, but like, it's slim pickings right now. And I wish that I would have seen this when I was 18.
Well,
like,
here's the thing. The
because I
problem
definitely wouldn't have been
is
wasting time in
the
school.
biggest misconception is that you're being taught that your job enhances your value to a man. Single biggest misconception there is out there, that your job is improving your value to a man. Ash said that. Well, if I'm making good money, she's making the false conflation that what appeals to women appeals to men. Well, if I'm making good money, then that will be attractive to a man who makes good money. It's like, no, baby, you were born with what attracts a man with money. You were born with what attracts an alpha. Your income isn't enhancing it. Your job, that's why I asked him, do you really think your job is enhancing your femininity? All a man gets from you is your feminine qualities. Your job isn't helping you with any of that. All it's really doing is eating up 8 to 12 hours of your day. And the 8 to 12 hours that you're spending at that job, guess what? Those are 8 to 12 hours that you do not have to secure a man. And that's going to haunt you for the rest of your days. So when you're at your peak viability, you really needed to go ahead and lock that man down now, but you didn't, because I'm building myself up under the false premise that, well, this will make me feel more secure if I have my money straight and my life straight, and then I'll go get the man when I'm ready to. Okay, but it takes years to become a solid employee. That takes years. That takes years to get to be solid in a job. If you're
by the time you're ready, you're not going to be.
Well, if you're a black person, that's going to take time to do that. Your 20s are when you solidify your value in the workforce. That's not something you do in a couple of years. Amaya wants to be a travel nurse. Man, that's going to take you a good decade to be a competent nurse. It's going to be a good decade. And when you look up, you're going to be 28. But to men, that's old. And you're not thinking of it that way because you're thinking about what you want. Well, you can't dictate to the man what they should want. Sitting up here telling us that we should all be excited by Lizzo, that garbage ain't gonna work. You're not gonna tell us that we should be desiring Lizzo. That you can sit up here and say that all you want to. That's not gonna work. So when you're 28 or 30 or 32 and telling us I'm not too old, that's not gonna work either.
I think it has a lot to do, though, with feminism and just the matriarchy. Like, I kind of noticed there's a lot of faces that Maya was making just because it kind of made her uncomfortable to be in those type of conversations where, even though that she wants to be a nurse, like, it's hard for her to admit, yeah, she's unhealthy. That's why I was in the chat. I'm like, if you ask these girls, okay, be honest, would you want to switch places with her? The answer would be no. I mean, besides the fact that she's rich or whatever, famous, but most women, they know that they don't want to be the same size as Lizzo. And I think that a lot of times it's either they're like guilted into saying like, oh no, she's beautiful, this, that, and the fourth. They're either guilted into it, or it's like they are just saying that to just kind of say, okay, well, less competition for me. I can't really decipher really between the two because that was really kind of like crazy.
Well, no, what the behavior that females have today as a group is a mob mentality. So the idea is, well, if I defend Lizzo, defending all women helps me. Doesn't matter what's going on. Defending all women helps me. So if I tell the men that they can't turn down any woman, then that guarantees me a slot. You see what I mean? If I tell the top tier men, you can't turn down any woman, we're all beautiful. Well, guess what you just said by default? By definition, she can never lose. So that's the way she's calculating it. But in reality, that's not the way it will work. Men are not listening to what you're saying. The men want a woman who reflects his status. So you're not going to bully us into that because that's what serves you best. We're going to operate in what's in our best interests. That's not going to change.
So
thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller Mary code 405. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Mr. Black. This is Yeti from OKC.
All right, Yeti from Oklahoma City. What's on your mind?
Hi, I was just calling because I'm older than Amaya thinks. So I was just trying to put this into perspective. As an older person, I graduated law school and things like that. So I know you often say how you do one thing is how you do all things. So I'm stuck in between, like, do I want to go and get the biggest career possible, or do I actually want to, like, not get a big career, to not, I don't know, intimidate anyone? And I'm not saying that people get intimidated by that stuff, but.
Okay, you're asking if you should go get a career.
Not get a career. What I'm trying to say is, like, how you were saying earlier to Ash that, like, if you have an Ashton, or she gets an Aston Martin car, like, what's the point in doing that if your goal is to get a man? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly doesn't enhance that.
But
Look,
I also don't want to seem mediocre.
What they're doing is they're running a parallel train of thought. On the one hand, their biology is telling them you need a man. On the other hand, social conditioning is telling them don't depend on one. So they become these walking contradictions. You need a man, but you're trying to live a life where you don't need one. As opposed to focusing on showing a man that you are his best option, in which case he will bring you whatever you need. They're instead trying to run these dual strategies. I need a man who got the bag, but just as an insurance policy, I'm going to get the bag. Well, I mean, these are conflicting things. You're either getting a man who's got the bag, or you yourself are becoming the bag. It takes too much time and effort and time out of your day to become the bag. You can't, it's going to be very, very hard to become the bag and then go get the bag. That's not going to work. The odds are going to be overwhelmingly against you. Furthermore, you're going to have a skewed idea of what makes you valuable. Now you're going to be under the misconception that your income or your status at your job is somehow something that we as men value. No, that's something you value in a man, that it did nothing for you for us. But if you put all your eggs in the basket of, well, this will increase my value, just like they did with Lizzo, you're going to repeat this line even though it doesn't make sense because it's the only one you got. But if you're actually asking the men, we're telling you that didn't do anything for us. It doesn't. It couldn't, because you're not working to support us. When I asked them, hey, by the way, how much is the rent going to be? $8,000. And how much of that $30,000 that he makes, how much does he need to put in? All of it. Well, then what does that tell you? She's, even though she can pay all of it herself, biologically and socially, she refuses. Because let's be very, very clear. The simple answer for them would have been to say, yeah, I'll pay for everything and the man pays for nothing. Well, she realizes, I'll be damned, I got a dependent in the house. She doesn't want that. She wants a man who's going to make her feel like a woman. When a man starts workhorsing a woman, she doesn't feel like a woman anymore. So now you're turning crimes of necessity into a criminal career. You did it because of your circumstances, but these were crimes of necessity. You would have been better off doing something else so it wasn't necessary to commit these crimes. Now they're going to go screw off their 20s when they're supposed to be securing a man. When she's got her peak viability, she's going to wait until she gets completely indoctrinated and institutionalized by a job. She will now be a better Let me tell you something about working women that folk don't understand here. A woman who works is a problem. That's miserable because she has no time. A woman who works all the time doesn't have time. That's the biggest complaint you'll have from men. We ready to go somewhere and do something. She literally will refuse to take time off of work. Or I got to be there. I got to go do this. Every man has seen this with a female who she's committed to her job because she's like, that's all I got. Now her life is built around it. So women usually spend most of their time scared to death and terrified that they're going to get fired from their job. So they got to show up every day. They got to show up all the time. They keep telling you about how the place is going to fall in without them. They never want to take time off because they're scared of what will happen if they're not there. They're scared that somebody's going to start inching them out the door if they're not there. So next thing you know, they become like mammies from the plantation. That's what they become. These androgynous beings who the only thing they can be is an employee. She can put on a dress and some shoes, but she's lost her feminine qualities. They've been hollowed out. So now she's married to the job. In the chat room, Black to Death, you're correct. So, now they're just married to their job and then trying to project what makes them valuable at a job on the man and say, well, hey, my job loves me. Well, your job just gets something different from you than we do.
And so my question would be, like, if you're past the age of 18, like, I'm sure they could still live with their parents and things like that. But if you're past that age, how do you deal with, like, I don't want to just quit my job because I have to pay rent, but also, like, I'm not someone who's so invested into the job where I can't miss days off of work or anything like that. So I'm just saying, like, what would be the correct path moving forward? Because you can't quit your job. Like,
okay, here's the number one thing here. They talk about making $200,000 and $300,000 a year. That's going to take you decades. So you have a choice to make. Either you're going to make $200,000 a year, or you're going to get a man who makes $500,000. Those are the options. Now, whatever you put your focus into, that's where it's going to be. So you can put 2 or 3 years into getting that man, or you can put a decade or two into trying to do that yourself, and then you'll be miserable and alone for the rest of your life. So those are the choices that they have. So the real thing is for a woman to get enough. You don't need $100,000 a year to be a fly female. Let me say that again. You don't need $100,000 a year to be a fly female. Ladies, we don't give a damn about y'all's shoes. And I have bought many of them. I have bought many female shoes for many females. Don't get me wrong. I remember them because I bought them, but you've never heard a man say, you know what, she'd be fly if she had these other kind of shoes. That's something y'all do. We don't notice your shoes. I bought many purses for females. We don't even notice them. We don't notice them. Period. You all do. So what I'm saying is you don't need $100,000 a year to be a fly female. You don't need to have $100,000. You don't have to make $100,000 a year to be a female that we're stumbling over other people to get at. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If you're a chick making $50,000 a year, that's good enough. You don't need $100,000 to be well put together. You don't. There's whole Instagram channels and YouTube channels dedicated to telling females about that. You don't need to be rich to be put together, because what we want from you doesn't cost money like that. An exercise regimen does not cost money like that. It doesn't. All you got to do is sit up here and work out and just get down and, do your push-ups and sit-ups and things. Eat a proper diet. I mean, those things don't cost $100,000 a year. It doesn't. That's the whole point. So if you just go ahead and do that, the things that we want don't cost $100,000 a year. Hell, it doesn't cost $75,000 a year. Period. It literally costs you nothing. So that's what I'm saying. Once you've got enough, you spend that extra spare time that you're not working. That's where you're supposed to be. You go do that. It doesn't take that.
Like, do you not think that a woman's job could also help her become, like, quote unquote, the best representative for her man, like, for a certain time? Or do you tell me a job that turns women into better wives? That, I think, like, if you did some type of job that would help your husband or your man or your husband's business, that would definitely help. Like, if you learn to do mergers and acquisitions, you could help your husband.
Let me try this again.
Run his own business.
Tell me a job that helps women become wives.
I won't necessarily say wives, just like you say, another aspect of being a wife is being a good representative.
Right. But being a good representative, I'm talking about is if the ultimate form of a good representative is a wife. That's the chick who literally got a document signed with her name on it that shows how valuable she was to him. So, ma'am, the fact that you can't name it tells you, okay, is there a job that can do that? Tell me one that does. Well, is there a job that makes you a better representative? Tell me one that does. Tell me one that enhances her femininity, because that's all we get. So tell me one that does that.
No, you're right. I can't tell you one.
Because that's not what jobs do. There isn't a single job in the world that enhances your femininity with the sole possible exception of modeling. And I would put an asterisk beside that. That's not what jobs do. Jobs bring you in to perform a specific task for their industry. Your femininity is not essential. They can get a male or a female to do your job. That's your proof right there that it does nothing for your femininity. If they can get a man to do the exact same job that you do, then there's your first clue that this has nothing to do with femininity. And it's not helping you. So femininity is something that you develop within the company of other women, but there's no employer, job, or industry that enhances that. Not a one. So a woman would be well spent to have enough. She'd be well spent to have enough of a job, but she needs, because when you all were in college, y'all understood it. Let me go ahead and have enough of a job, but I need to spend my time chasing boys. And what I'm saying is you don't need to spend your time chasing men, but you cannot allow the job to engulf your life. Because when you do meet the right man, just understand something. I'm just going to tell you right now, as a guy who's in an upper income bracket and been there for a while, let me tell you something. When a female gives me I'm busy, once she starts hitting me with my job and this, that, and the other, it's not going to be 3 conversations before I check out. It's not going to get that far. You're not going to sit here and sit up here and give me the sob story every damn time. If I hear about that job more than once, it's time to start easing you on out the door. Because the only thing I can get from you is your time. And if you are refusing to do that, or you won't do that, or your identity is wrapped up in that job, if I can't have your time, what the hell am I doing? Waiting around for you to decide when you're going to ration some out? Okay. To a fellow who doesn't have options, he'll accept those circumstances. I got options. That's why I did all this work for, is so that I don't have to accept that. So if you want to sit up here and be married to your job, put on your white dress and go ahead and walk down the aisle. But I won't be here when you get back. If all I can do is see you every once in a while, you'll see me when I come through.
And I'm not arguing that like women should be married to their job, but I'm just asking to get a better understanding. Like, do you not believe it's a red flag if she's willing to like leave the job just like that, like every time?
What is she leaving the job for?
Oh man, you're right. But I'm saying like,
the real question is, what and who is she leaving the job for?
Well, I guess the potential of bettering her life and the man, but like it's potential. So
if you're leaving your job to be with Jay-Z, that's time well spent. If you're leaving your job to be with Warren Buffett, that's time well spent. If you're leaving your job to be with Robert Greene, that's time well spent. I can go down the list. Kendrick Lamar, that's time well spent. Some of his other wackiness to the side. That's time well spent, man. That's time well spent. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you sit up here and keep leaving until you get fired. I'm not saying that, because a man's not really going to do that. We don't need y'all's time like that. What I am saying is you got females who got 3 weeks of vacation time telling you what she can't do. Or she works at the job so much that when she does have a weekend, she's telling you how tired she is. Well, yeah, you're tired because you're overextending yourself because you're trying to give yourself a top tier 1%er life, which you can't do. You won't achieve it anyway. Well, I'm trying to get the top 10% life. Okay, that's going to take up all your time. And you're going to tell me, well, I'm tired this weekend of this, that, and the other, or ration it out. I can ask this question in the chat room. We've all had a situation with females. They're working, quote unquote, professionals. They got a career and they're dog ass tired on weekends, telling us what they can't do. So you can only hit them up every once in a while and whatnot. Or if they do, they're sitting there dozing off. And what I'm saying is, you're telling me that I did all this work so that you can schedule my life for me. So just understand, just like you hold out for a better option, and when we hear that kind of stuff, we holding out for a better option. A female who's got kids, her time is spoken for. But guess what? A female who's married to her job, she's a single mom without the kids. Because the bottom line is, you have to schedule the man around your job and around your affinity for being there. You should go to your job only as long as you need to be there. You shouldn't put in 1 minute more than you absolutely have to. There's a whole bunch of people, they work these jobs and they're worried about it and whatnot, and then got fired. The first thing they think is, I'll be damned. I should have took all the days off I could. But that's the first thing they think. Well, why didn't you realize that when you were there? Y'all need to steal the time now, because you know what? These jobs steal as much as they can from you. So you show up as much as you need to be there. But that job is not going to give you eternal benefits. It's not going to give you an eternal return on investment. A man will have intrinsic value in you. The job never will. So you have a choice to make. But my advice to you would be, don't spend 1 minute more at that job than you need to. While you're there, be excellent. But you make as much time for him as you can, because he has intrinsic value in you. Now, I'm talking about if you are with a man who's at that level. If you're with a man who's about his business, he's driven and whatnot, well, yeah, that's the guy you damn sure better do that. You better make some time. You better make some time. But you know what? You wouldn't be so tired after work if you would actually make some time to not go. But when you sit up here trying to be the best little employee because you worry about your rent, and you worry about that Mercedes you couldn't afford to buy, and you're worried about your hair, okay, just remember you're making a choice. There's another female out there who is not making that decision, and she'll be available.
Well, thank you so much for explaining that, Mr. Black.
Thank you for giving us a call. But by the way, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, I hope you were paying attention tonight then.
I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. I didn't say you have to quit your job. You don't have to quit your job. What I am saying is all this being the best little employee and most diligent, no, you can be an excellent employee and give them a minimum of your time. But too many of you are married to the job, and the job understands, oh, you got to show up. So next thing you know, you're trapped to the game. Let me get called of Mary Code 415. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Don P. calling from San Francisco.
Don from San Francisco. What's on your mind?
Man, I really enjoyed the broadcast this evening and getting the perspective of these different women, and even listening to your shows over the months here. These women, Black women, are delusional. The numbers that you gave out earlier today, I don't know if they were all encompassing or if they were just, focused on Black men. But the reality is, Pareto principle, 80% or more of us are not going to even see six figures in our life. Be happy to get to the high fives. But I will say this, my sisters, and I'm an older man, and my sisters are older than me. My sisters, the middle one married her high school fiance. They went through their struggles. They worked together, and they have something. Now, my sister, the youngest one, she's bad. She's bad. She was married. She had two girls, and that marriage didn't work out. And she got a job, and then she found a career opportunity where she met her current husband. They've been married for over 25 years. They built together. They earned six figures together. And then she actually got promoted over him. He felt sort of kind of way, but that's my woman. That money's coming into my house. So he retired a couple of years before she did, and now she's retired. Man, she does what she wants. She leases whatever kind of car she wants. She buys the red bottoms she wants. She buys those purses. I can't even remember because she don't, she Louis Vuittons and stuff. That's, backside of the closet. What's the other one that costs a lot of money? She buys that kind of stuff. She does what she wants, but here's the deal. She didn't do it as a single mother. She found a good man. He wasn't making six figures. He's making five figures. But she found a good man. They built something together. Now they do what they want. They have second careers. He's in real estate and she's in insurance. So y'all got to get realistic if you want something in life. You've got to look at the end of the thing and quit letting these people delude you with what you think you can get. It's a bunch of stuff. And they're lying to you, and you're going to end up alone. I'll land my plane there.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You don't plan to fail. You only fail to plan. And if they've been given bad advice, then they're thinking that the things that make them valuable to a job are the same things that will make them valuable to a man. It's not that way. And here's the real problem. The real diabolical part of this is you're on a clock, man. You're on a clock. You don't have 30 years to figure it out. Hell, you don't have 20. You've barely got 10 years to be in position. After that, you get in your 30s, it's going to be a knife fight. You get in your 40s, it's a wasteland. It's not Jason Black talking, that's the facts talking. Ask any female listening to me right now who is 40 years old. She will tell you right now, she would give anything to go back to 30, because when you get to 40, look here, it's a wasteland out here. Because the men are like, we can take it or leave it. It's a wasteland. You don't want to wait till you get there, because at that point right there, you just taking whatever you can get. For those of you who are unaware, we've been talking about this. I mentioned this to my patrons. My patrons always get the heads up on this thing. We've been talking about the last train leaving. I'm in the process of trying to get one other person for it. We've been talking about the last train leaving. But by the way, after we do the last train leaving, I want us to go into what comes after the last train leaving. You see, the last train leaving is what comes after you have turned down all your best options. But what comes after the last train leaving? The discount bin. That's what comes after the last train leaving. If you screw up all your options, you'll be left at the train station waiting to try to catch the last train leaving, whatever it is. But if you don't get a ticket for the last train leaving, if you miss and you're left on the platform by yourself, all you can do is leave the train station, go to the dollar store and look through the discount bin. You just got to grab whatever's on the clearance rack and walk out with it. Because if you don't do that, guess what? Even the discount bin is empty most of the time when y'all go to the dollar store. If you don't grab something off the discount bin, well, it's just you and the meow mix, people. But by the way, I want y'all to know I'm working on two things right now. I'm working on the last train leaving, and I'm working on the discount bin. Yeah, if you don't have a ticket, if you did not get your ticket on the train, bring your ass over here to the dollar store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and let me introduce you to the discount bin. We got some old DVDs, we got some batteries, we got some flip-flops, we got some suntan lotion, marked down. You all can have an opportunity to review in tonight's program, and you can tell us whether or not they're being realistic. I want to thank my guests for being on here tonight. So Ash, Bexy, Maya, thank you very much for coming on here. We appreciate that. And I want to thank all of you for coming here as well. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Very much appreciate that. And if you are new here to The Business, welcome to the program that all of your favorite YouTubers hate listen to. They're all out there hate watching right now. The manosphere, they all get together and hate watch and then talk trash to each other about me and everything. And then they start picking and choosing parts of my program to incorporate into their own. I see ya. I hear ya. We ain't mad at you. Just remember where you got the game from. So click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us each and every time. And if you haven't joined our Patreon, the link is in the description. You definitely want to join us there on the weekend. You get to talk to me one-on-one for an extended period of time. You definitely want to go ahead and check into that there as well. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, and this concludes this broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from all around the world, handle your business, or your business will handle you.